I'm here with Gino.
Hey, danger, coming with them bangers. Tell me where my paper. Still on the same mission, trying to live major. Don't hate me, hate the game. I'm a player. Feeling like Pac. Represent. On my block. Try to knock me down, but I come up on top. Yeah, they wanna see me flop. Got a plot, want a lot. I won't stop on my pops. Got so many flows, it's insane. They don't really understand the game. Got a plan and it's plain, I ain't playing. I'm just trying to gain. I wanna get that big bag, need that big Rex. Blow up Tic Tac with a blue cheese at. I don't give a fuck about your feedback. Eat that, get back, sit back, watch me spit that kickback. Got so many flows, yeah, they think that I'm insane. Ghetto kids in a lot of pain, all about the bills, ain't shit changed. Danger, coming with them bangers. Tell me where my paper. Still on the same mission, trying to live major. Don't hate me, hate the game, I'm a player. If you a hater, I don't hate you. I'm just really happy that I ain't you. I just wanna thank you. You kept me motivated, so now I motivate you. There's a lot of cake, money on my mind like a banker. Coming through with them bangers, ain't no room for mistakes. Hustle till we get a lot of rooms, a lot of stakes. Good kid, but I keep it gangsta. All gas, no brakes. Got cash for the case. More cash in the case. More cash in the safe. More cash on the way. Hustling all day. Ay. Danger, coming with them bangers. Tell me where my paper. Still on the same mission, trying to live major. Don't hate me, hate the game. I'm a player.
Danger, coming with them bangers. Where my fucking paper.
Said I'm taking big shots, just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. They been trying to get me cheap like a thrift shop, but I told them it's my time, check the wristwatch. They been talking way before they even doing something. Whoa. If they wanna play, let's get a tip off. Ain't no silver lining, dawg, this some rose gold. Getting new money, I'm a old soul. Yeah, I get it bouncing like a pogo. Whoa. And I'm too cold like Frozone. And my chick elastic, girl. Told them we ain't in the faking, this ain't plastic, girl. Bought a new whip and cash, now my tax is thorough. Way I'm shooting like step, but my pass is bro. The way I'm playing the field, I'm in a league of my own. And now they all in they fields, I got them all on my phone. But dog, I'm hitting the climb, I got no time on the low. Way I'm shooting is messy, the way I'm hitting the goal. I'm taking big shots, just stop. Way I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. I just left, but you know I'm coming back though. Whoa. And you know I don't play by my rags though. Now go and turn it up to the max, whoa. Send a paper to me now like a fax, whoa. Yeah. Got 2 phones ringing off the hook now. When I'm in the city, I get looks now. I was going bad, but I'm good now. Said I had to go and put my foot down. Told him I'ma get it and go. Nah. Even in the summer, man, they knowing I'm cold. I got a couple checks coming that I made out the flows. Might get a couple more popping if I do it some more. I gotta do it for real. Said I'm back in my bag. All my digits are climbing just like they all on a dash. And he tell me slow down, cause dog, I'm moving too fast. Might go and cop me a Tesla, cause dog, I still got a gas. Said I'm taking big shots. Just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots.
top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming on my landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like. Yeah, you about to see me on demand like. You know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know, yeah. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah. On the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know, yeah. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah. On the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go. On the road, here we go, here we go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Frankie Candles live stream. Every single weekday right here at, 12:58 p.m. I don't know, guys. We're live. Bitcoin's getting a bit of a move to the downside here. And if you guys tuned into the live stream last night, you will know we were looking for the shorts, and they are now paying out. So I wanted to give you guys a quick update, talk about where I think price is going, the key levels we need to hold, and what the next maybe month is going to hold for the price action on Bitcoin. Are we going to continue this bigger retracement to the upside? Are the altcoins going to keep pushing up? We got Ethereum hitting the final target. We had XRP tap into that final POC target that we looked at last night, which are both pretty big levels of resistance, more so on XRP hitting a major level. Are we going to be able to break through them? Are we going to get a big dump to the downside? We're going to cover it all today in We're going to cover it all in today's premium live stream. I'm all tripped up, guys. We go live in the middle of the day, and I'm all backwards. But welcome in, Mafia. Good to see you guys in here. We got Serge in the chat, said whole market is falling with it. Shout out to you, brother. But we're going to cover it for you today. We got Neon Visual in the chat. Felix. We got Jesse and Dave Digital holding it down. I think those are the two mods that I saw. I don't know if we saw. All the blue names kind of blend together. It's hard to see them. But shout out to Jesse and Dave Digital. Show the mods some love in the chat, guys. Shout out to Colin Fadoka. I don't know if that's how you say it, but he said, perfect timing for East Europeans in Romania. Perfect content, too. Hey, shout out to you, brother. We're going to try to do some more earlier live streams in 2026. We may even start to push it up a little bit. No need to just continue to repeat ourselves time and time again. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll go live later. I don't know. We'll see what happens. If the market doesn't move, we're going to do it here. And, hey, I don't know if anybody noticed here, guys. I totally botched my sideburn here. No one noticed it last week. It's starting to grow back a little bit, but can you see that? That was brutal. Just a complete hole in my beard. Or if you want to call this a beard. But anyway, guys, thank you all for tuning in. Shout out to TDK. Shout out to you, brother. Welcome in. Said here for every stream. Love the early ones. Shout out to TDK. Yeah, a lot of people have been asking for the earlier streams. So, when Bitcoin moves, we have something to talk about. But speaking of Bitcoin moving, guys, we are getting the dump to the downside here. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into the charts. Let's get into it. All right, guys, so here we are, and Bitcoin getting a little push to the downside here. Now, if you guys tuned into the live stream yesterday or last night, you will know that we were looking for the shorts here in the premium Discord. Took some shorts up here, looking for that simple SFP, the wick above, the candle closure down below. Very, very simple trade entry trigger right there, and especially when you're waiting for that level forever. We front ran it all the way back here in December during FOMC. We barely front ran it. Actually didn't take the short there. No setup, no entry trigger, no short for me. We did get the dump to the downside, but finally we did, it took a little while, but we finally did get back up to that level. We got the SFP. We took the short. I am currently holding this over on WeX up about 1829, 1830, and we're going to see what this thing can give us. We got stop loss to break even. I will probably lock in a little bit of profits here to make it a guaranteed winning trade, but not too shabby. Even looking for that pullback. We didn't get too much of a big move on the live stream yesterday. We were kind of just starting to wiggle down here. We came up for a little retracement, and then we got the real push down here. And where did we retrace into, guys? Directly into the golden pocket 786. Fibonacci retracement. When we're looking for those lower highs, you're looking for that golden pocket 786. And not only did we have the SFP there, guys, we also had the 16-hour red dot potentially incoming, right? We saw those VWAPs come into the downside, letting us know that that red dot was likely going to come in, giving me confidence that we would get another push down there. And then, of course, we also had the daily red dot incoming. Now, that money flow is still headed to the upside here, so we can still potentially look for higher lows and higher highs, as long as we can stay above some very key levels, which is what I want to talk about today. What is the big key level of support? Well, we talked about it yesterday, but it is going to be, let me pull up a little bit of a lower time frame here. We pulled it from the impulse to the high here. Golden pocket 786 sitting right on top of our macro value area low. And before I get too deep into this, I do just want to cover the higher time frame here. Of course, looking at this larger macro volume profile, this was the big level that we were struggling at for so long, trying to hold it back down below, trying to hold it, rejected. We finally broke through it with money flow finally crossing into the green. So I am, it does open up the door for potential higher lows and higher highs to come. If we see that money flow stay in the green, hopefully, we could potentially see that continuation to the upside, where we, of course, have our next major key level of resistance sitting right here. We've been looking at this forever. Oh, no. Did I accidentally delete my daily naked points of controls? Am I tripping here? Oh, no. Oh, no. Where'd they go, guys? Where'd they go? Monthlies, weeklies. Yikes. Well, oh, man. Well, let me just pull these up real quick. I'll pull up the PVP here. And you can see we have two daily naked points of controls here. I'll try to get these levels back on the chart and fix it. But really between about 97.5, I just know where they are. We have the two daily naked points of controls here right on top of the POC of our macro range. This is the level we have been looking at forever, and Bitcoin just does not want to make it up to that level for some reason. But of course, that POC is going to act as a magnet for price. So that same key resistance zone does remain ahead of us here. If we do end up putting in a higher low and a higher high, right? Stay inside that profile. It does keep that door open into that POC. And of course, if we hold that golden pocket retracement, 786, and of course, on top of that value area low. There's also a lot of other reasons to look down here, in my opinion. I mean, number one, market cipher B also pointing in that direction with the daily red dot. The 16-hour red dot, this could obviously give us a little bit more of a pullback. And, not only do we have the Fibonacci retracement and the value area low, but we also have some CME gaps down there. We have a daily naked point of control down there. So, man, I cannot. Oh, no, here they are. Look at that. They just moved. Why does that happen? But there you go. There's the MPOCs. Let me delete these little fake ones that I made. But yeah, we have, we're tapping into a daily naked point of control right now. So maybe a little bit of a bounce. But eventually, right, why would I entertain the idea of a local downtrend continuing here? Well, it just has to do with that daily 16-hour red dot printing, the daily red dot printing. And when we look at that 16-hour red dot and we go down to the 1/16th time frame, which is going to be that 1 hour, you guys can see that money flow is coming out. When you see that 16-hour red dot with that 1 hour money flow crossing into the red, we do call that a market cipher B 1/16 strategy, and or bearish setup, I should say. And then once that money flow crosses into the red, that is typically, or just when you see the money flow coming out here, you are going to be anticipating some kind of lower highs and lower lows to come in. And then the big level of support down here is sitting between, let me drag this up to the daily naked point of control, starting at about 91,374. all the way down to the 786 at about 88,430. And then you also have another backup daily naked point of control here at about 87, 87,800. So, this is just generally, whether you're looking at all the confluent levels, which of course we do have here, you're going to want to be looking for those highly populated areas for a high probability bounce. And that is definitely sitting down here. Even if we get a little bounce, we could see that continuation as long as we can hold on top of that value area low decisively with that daily money flow coming up. Maybe that 1 hour money flow crosses into the red, gives us a nice little 1 hour trend to the downside. But once we start tapping into this key support, hopefully we can see this daily red dot start to roll back over for a green dot. Money flow can continue into the green, and then hopefully we can continue to look for that continuation of the overall uptrend for a bigger retracement to come in here on Bitcoin, tapping into 95.3 up to 97.5. And then, if we wind up getting above the POC, we can start talking about some of those higher levels. Of course, we have that 50-week moving average. Currently, let's get a little update on that, sitting at about 101,500. So, massive resistance ahead still, but hopefully we can see some of this, bullish trend continue. But definitely keep watching this level because, we looked at this last night and definitely going to be a big zone, right? Because we don't want to, once we lose this value area low, well, if we can't get back above it, well, guess what, right? We're probably going to be looking lower, down to these range lows around, I would call it about, look to maybe sweep the liquidity below 86.3. I'll pull up the liquidation heat map in a minute. But if we see the bigger drop to the downside, right, we might even want to go take out 80,500. But, we're not there yet, right? We're still inside the volume profile. It ain't over till the fat value area low breaks. So, yeah, and then locally, if we just pull up a lower time frame here, of course, we do have this little daily naked point of control. Let me actually, let me just shuffle this over to the candle it came from. Right, so if we look at this, right, daily naked point of control, getting a beautiful reaction here. These daily MPOCs do oftentimes give good reactions. Of course, the bias here would be for a little bit of a continuation down with the 1 hour money flow coming out and the 16-hour red dot, and even the 90-minute money flow starting to leak out here, which would line up to follow suit here on the daily red dot, right? When you see the 16-hour red dot print, there it is with the 1 hour money flow about to cross into the red. If we get that, right, that 90 minutes slightly higher than the 1 hour, is probably going to follow suit, right? And then the 16-hour red dot prints, slightly higher time frame is the daily. That is probably going to follow suit, right? These things move like dominoes, right? 16-hour red dot prints, then the daily is slightly behind, but usually follows suit. And you have two market cipher B bearish setups setting up there. So maybe that could bring us down there. Again, many reasons to be looking down towards that zone between about 90, I'm going to call it 91 or 90,130 near this daily naked point of control, all the way down to that 786, which of course I just took off the chart. All right, we'll pull it here, right, all the way down to, call it this daily naked point of control at about 87,786. Because even if we slip, right, you got a lot of support down here. Even if we kind of wick down below, if we can reclaim, right, still technically would be a higher low. Once we start breaking below that, can't break back above, that's where I'd be looking for the bigger drop to the downside. So get these levels on your chart, guys. They're very important. We'll see if this local daily naked point of control can give us a little bit of a pop to the upside. If I pull up XO charts here, you can see, obviously, we did have that naked point of control, which is now tapped, right? So, I see that. It looks like a magnet to me. And then, of course, we do get sucked right down there. So very nice to see. Nice and technical. Let's see. We're also going to take a look at some of the altcoins as well, guys. Because we do have XRP hitting into the target that we looked at not only yesterday, but for the past, few streams, right? Point of control of the range. As we bounced off that 786, we see this value area low sitting here. We know this is going to be the doorway to higher prices. Once we can flip that level to support and just like, this is just beautiful. Flipping that value area low to support, that opens the door to get your bigger move into our zone of resistance here, which was sitting between the golden pocket 786 and more specifically, right? If you're not even looking at the Fibonacci retracement, just the volume profile perspective. I mean, talk about the magnetic nature of these volume profiles, guys. Flip the low, doorway to the POC is open. Where do we go? Right into that POC. Where do we get the rejection from? Right from that naked point of control, right? Or naked range POC. So beautiful here, right? Now, this is a big level of resistance, guys. Remember, this is also a Fibonacci retracement. Opportunities for lower highs and lower lows here. So, the hope with our daily money flow, right? We see this daily VWAP coming out. We took a look at this yesterday. Money flow is generally trending to the upside. So the hope here is if we do get a pullback, Very similar to Bitcoin, hoping that we can kind of just get a little bit of a pullback for some kind of a higher low to see that higher high come in. The 786 sitting at 246, almost 247, is going to be the line in the sand for me. Once we get above that 786, we could potentially look for the bigger move up to the value area high sitting at about $2.88. But, of course, expected resistance here. Here's the price coming down. We try to prepare you for these things. And, I can't say they always play out this perfectly, but more often than not, these volume profiles are super reliable. There's a reason this is like the main tool that I use to trade, guys. But, the big thing to watch here on the higher time frames is hopefully, I would expect this red dot once it prints to potentially give us a bit of a bigger pullback. But the biggest level to hold above for XRP, in my opinion, is going to be the value area low at $2. I'd be willing to come down this low, put in a higher low, and then maybe be able to continue up through that profile. And again, the big level, if we can't break that 786, guys, chances of getting up to the value area high are going to be very low. So that's what we're looking at on XRP. Again, if you take anything away from this stream, just learn how magnetic and, reliable these volume profiles can be, right? Leave the high, get accepted back in, back to the POC, lose the POC, back down to the low, deviate below, hold the 786, back above the low, back into the POC. We're hoping to see something very similar to the rotation from the high to the low, but we're hoping to see it from the low to the high. But, my base case is just not, we have to see that money flow crossover into the green on the daily. Because obviously all the higher time frames on Bitcoin and a lot of the altcoins do still remain overall bearish with money flow coming out over time, indicating the trend on the higher time frames is much more likely to continue to the downside. And if we pull our full Fibonacci retracement from the high to the low, you can see our golden pocket sitting in perfect confluence there with the value area high. So even up here, it's going to be a major level. We could even see a potentially bigger push up into this level and still see it turn into a lower high and a lower low. Because obviously my base case on Bitcoin here is going to be that, maybe we see a little bit of a retracement, but the chances of putting in a lower high and a lower low, at least based off the chart, are looking a little bit more higher probability. So be careful out there. Let's see. Shout out to Nightly. He said, okay, so how do you read this for timing these 16th setups and with them printing, can they be invalidated by lower time frame 1/16th bullish setups, for example? Shout out to Nightly. I wouldn't look at, if I'm looking at a daily red dot like we have here, right, or about to print, right, if we get this daily red dot and that 90-minute money flow crosses into the red, price action's fractal, right? So, if I saw a super low time frame 1/16 strategy, say like a 15-minute green dot with a 1-minute money flow crossover into the green, this would not invalidate the higher time frame, right? Like something on the 1 minute or the 15 minutes, not going to totally invalidate something on the daily. But the way I would look, again, price action's fractal. The way I would look for that to play out is maybe you get a 15-minute green dot. I'm not specifically looking for that, but for example, if you get a 15-minute green dot with a 1-minute money flow crossover, right? Well, that 1-minute money flow crossover would indicate a trend to the upside, but in the context of the 1 minute, right? A 1-minute trend can look like this, right? But then when you come on over to the daily, what does that look like, right? It's just like you can't even see it, right? It's just like a little pop to the upside. So I wouldn't really look at that, to invalidate the daily or, a lower 1/16 time frame to invalidate the daily. But, the way I generally trade these, the way I used to trade them back in the day, I don't really trade them like that anymore. I use a lot more confluence at this point. But, you have the daily red dot. If it prints, right, you could try to front run it. But what I used to do when I wasn't front running it, I'd have the daily red dot print, and I would just wait for that 90 minutes to cross into the red and then just take my entry. Of course, you're not going to get the best setup there. Obviously, for the short position I'm holding right now, literally short from the confirmation of that SFP, like directly on that candle closure. So obviously that entry is right at the top. If you took the entry here on a 1 hour money flow crossover, right? We took it on the SFP entry confirmation, and then we were looking at that 1 hour money flow crossover into the red just to give us confidence that this would continue to the downside. That even the money flow trending out could indicate that, you're anticipating that crossover, especially, for example, let me come back into bar replay mode here just to kind of show you what it looks like. Up here, it's like, all right, cool. We took the short. It's coming down. Money flow starting to trend out. Price action moves forward. All right, money flow is continuing to trend out. Green dot's going to print, but green dots and red dots are ebbs and flows. Ebbs and flows. Money flow indicates the overall trend. So when I see that green dot, I might think, hey, maybe a retracement, but I am going to be anticipating a lower high and a lower low. And then as price action moves forward, right, you continue down. Now money flow is clearly trending out. And then when you come over to the 16-hour, you see this VWAP coming down. When you see that white wave about to cross over, right, you can anticipate, hey, that's pretty close to crossing over. I could front run that red dot. But if you're not getting in on an SFP confirmation from the top like we did, you can wait technically for a 1 hour money flow crossover. But obviously you can see here, we just bring this to current price action. We already come down a significant amount and you haven't even gotten the crossover yet. So you're going to get a little bit of a later entry. So it is what it is, right? We get better entries now because we use different techniques. But that's kind of like generally before I knew as much as I know about trading now, that's kind of how I would trade that, right? Because if you're going to get that fresh red money flow crossover, you could still be catching maybe the beginning of that trend if it's going to continue down in a big way, right? Even if you're not in from the top. Once that money flow crosses over into the red, typically you'll see that red wave last a little while and continue the downtrend. So you'll get somewhere in here, but you're just going to miss out from being on the top, right? So there you go. Hopefully that helps you out. Ada or Night? Yeah, we'll take a look at Night. We'll take a look at Cardano. Did I miss Solana? No. So I did. We took a look at XRP real quick because we hit that technical target we talked about last night. We can come on over to Ethereum. Same exact thing, guys. 786 here. We hit this earlier today at 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. This golden pocket, 786 POC, right? These were the two major levels of resistance. We came into the golden pocket, got a little bit of a pullback, and then we were able to get on top of that golden pocket. Once you flip that golden pocket, the next major level of resistance, and the last or the further end of that major resistance zone between these two levels is that 786. What happens? Boop, right into the 786, and now we're getting the pullback. And very similar signals here, right? 1 hour money flow coming out, 16-hour money flow. 16-hour red dot looking to print, right? Now, again, 16-hour money flow is coming up, right? But that 16-hour red dot, you could think of it like this. A high time frame red dot, like a 16-hour, is going to be more powerful than a 1 hour red dot. Remember, the green and red dots indicate the waves, right? For example, I'll just show you on live price action, right? Like you would think green dot, red dot, green dot, red dot, green dot, red dot, green dot, red dot, green dot. But then when the money flow starts coming out, right, sure, you get a green dot. It could push you to the upside. But if that money flow continues down, you're going to anticipate the green dots to be retracements and the red dots to be the continuation down. So very similar signal here on Ethereum. Tapped into the 786, which was, the beginning of that last target. I don't want to say last target, but, the last target we've been looking at relatively, within this price action. 1 hour money flow crossing into the red, or looking to cross over into the red, 16-hour red dot. So, we could still see a little bit of a pullback here. So there we are, right? And we can take this golden pocket off the chart just because it is ran through. What am I doing here? Get rid of the purple box. Take that golden pocket off the chart. And there we go, right? 786 PLC. Once you break that first level, right, you can take it off the chart. Next level's up here. Boop. And now, in order to invalidate the idea of continuing this downtrend, if that money flow is just going to fake out, right, your hope is you have to understand, right, POC is really that magnetic target within the profile, but it wouldn't really be until we flipped on top of that POC where I'd be willing to look up to some higher targets, which, by the way, on Ethereum do sit between about 36.56 all the way up to the 786 value area high at 39.37. Long term, right, same thing on the daily for Ethereum as on Bitcoin, right? Money flow is in the green, but we could see the VWAP cooling off here, giving us a red dot. When money flow is coming up and we see a red dot printing, the base case, right, the general idea is a little bit of a pullback, right, or ebb or flow for a higher low and a continuation of that uptrend. That is the bullish hope here to see the flip of the POC and hopefully a bigger push into that value area high. I am not going to say that is promised, right, because when we talk about the higher time frames, right, weekly money flow crossed into the red, again, we don't know if the lower high is going to come in on the local fibs, which is what we're projecting right now, or if we do continue the bigger uptrend, are we going to reject these bigger Fibonacci retracements up here? It's the same exact thing on Bitcoin, right? If we don't want to go for the bigger retracements that we have above, well, guess what? We took the short position off the SFP here because we don't know if it's going to be if we're going to reject the higher fibs or if we're going to reject some of these lower levels. Now, we don't have a major Fibonacci retracement that we're rejecting right now. The next major Fibonacci retracement on Bitcoin sits up here in that bigger zone between 95.3 and 97, almost 98K. So, if we were rejecting this zone here, I would be a lot more concerned, right? Between the money flow coming up on the daily and the fact that we haven't tapped into this Fibonacci retracement, I am willing to look for a potential continuation of that uptrend. So, on Ethereum, biggest key level of support, just like everything else. If we do get a big pullback, you're pretty much hoping that you can stay inside the volume profile, right? Stay inside the range, hold that value area low. Hopefully we can see that continuation up, right? And, I'd like to hold a little bit higher than that because this is getting real sus for a higher low. And some of those more local levels, we could try to pull them up here. Let me pull up this local range real quick. Pull it like this. Pull a Fibonacci retracement. Pull a couple of them. Yeah, so I would really prefer to kind of hold on top of, technically you could go down to the 786, right? So really the value area low is the simple level. You have the golden pocket, 786, sitting between 29.73 and 28.90. But, once you lose that value area low, you're also losing the 786. Once you lose that, right, you're looking to at least take out this low here, which could open the door to come down to your value area high down here at 26.72. So the hope there with the daily money flow coming up is that you can hold somewhere, you could hold somewhere within this zone. I would prefer just hold the golden pocket for a cleaner, higher low and just continue the uptrend. If you have to come down to the value area low, you still could technically, slip it, reclaim, get back in, but that would just be an uglier situation. This would be much cleaner in my opinion, and then hopefully flip that POC to get up to the higher level. So that's what I'd be looking at. Again, major zone sits between 29.73 and 28.90, and if we pull up some naked points of controls here, we could see, I bet we probably have something down here. Let's see. Unfortunately, you don't have any daily MPOCs. Let's check the weekly. You do have a weekly MPOC down there, though. So that is actually not too bad, right? Right on that golden pocket, which, again, right, my preferred level is the one that just happens to have the confluence. So, golden pocket between about, 29.80 and 29.58. But this whole zone, the hope would be daily money flow continues up, and then you could get out of there. So there you go. That's what I'd be looking at on Ethereum. We'll also take a look at Solana here. Solana still just bing-bonging around. Finally tapped into that anchored VWAP, right? We have the anchored VWAP and the POC. Of course, this is the next major target within the profile. We talked about this last night. Just like any volume profile, guys, you deviate above the high, you get back in. POC is next. Eventually, you're looking to lose that POC, go down to the value area low for the high probability fill of that volume profile. And then same thing on the opposite end. You deviate below. We got some bullish divergences here below the range. Get above the value area low. Next major target becomes that POC zone. So we've tapped into the anchored VWAP. Point of control still does sit at about 145.64. But, doesn't mean you have to tap it to the dollar. Honestly, more times than not, it is just very magnetic and magical, and a lot of times it does just come up and tap it. But we have pretty much, right? I guess you could say we technically front ran this level by a tiny bit. So, I would still keep an eye here. I'll actually raise this up a little bit, right? Point of control. 145.64. That's your next major level of resistance. And same thing as Ethereum and Bitcoin, right? Taking a look at the daily. Daily money flow trying to cruise to the upside as well, but that daily red dot could continue our pullback. Overall, you want to stay inside the volume profile. Value area low, biggest key level on the chart, 125.05. You want to stay above that in order to continue the uptrend. Once we break below here, I don't like it, right? I'm probably looking down towards about 112.60, right? But we'll cross that bridge if and when we get there. We might not even have to deal with that. Pulling our full Fibonacci retracement, you can see you also have some confluence here on your golden pocket value area low. And then, of course, you do have your 786 sitting down there as well, so you can pretty much drag that zone all the way between 127.20 to 122.54. So hopefully, if we get the continuation down, you can hold on top of here and then put in the higher low and eventually get that higher high, flip the point of control just like on Ethereum. That's where we can look for the continuation up through the profile. I am not just instantly going to say once we flip this POC, we're definitely going to the value area high, but just from the volume profile perspective, right, that is what you would expect. Deviate below the low, hold the low, back to the POC, back up, and you can even see here, right, you stay inside the profile, POC is still open, flip it, you eventually get that full fill of the range, even if it's wonky. And then you can see the beautiful reaction on the value area high. So I don't know exactly what the price action is going to look like if we get the continuation up, but what I can tell you is this is really the zone you want to hold, and then the POC is the general area you want to flip to continue up through the profile. XRP is going to zero. XRP is straight trash. Shout out to Vision Post. I love it. It's so funny. Everybody comes in. It's Cardano or XRP. They just can't catch a break. They just get trashed in the chat. Shout out to Mr. Cali, I can never read that. Shout out to Mr. Call 20 says, well, I'm here despite the surprise. Shout out to Mr. Call, welcome in. Zewo, shout out to Perry. Awesome catching the live. Shout out to Financially Wit. Shout out to you, man. Welcome in. We're happy to have you here. So we took a look at XRP. We took a look at Solana. Also, one thing I do want to check in on here, guys, is Total 3. And I actually was looking at this. Didn't really talk about it on the live stream. But as we were looking at Bitcoin, hopefully getting a little bit of a retracement from our levels down here, talking about Bitcoin dominance. Where's it at? Oh, my God. I got to move all this stuff back to where it was. I keep getting lost in my watch list, right? The 4-day, still looking pretty bearish here. Red dot printing, money flow continuing into the red, which is, typically a bearish sign for the long-term trend. Just like on Bitcoin, money flow comes out, crosses red. You're hoping that that does continue your overall downtrend. We have these 2 retracement levels, which we have come into. So the hope here is to stay below this value area low and continue that downtrend as Bitcoin retraces. That could give us a little bit more relief on the altcoins. And when you take a look at Total 3, right, kind of similar when you see Bitcoin dominance being bearish. Take a look at Total 3. We were coming down to the value area low, and we actually did, I believe, have some bullish divergences down here on the 3-day directly into that value area low. There's your lower lows on price action. And even here, you front run the value area low slightly, you come back up, but eventually you do come down to that magnetic value area low, tap it, put in the lower low, you get your higher lows on your momentum waves, and then you get a little bit of a bounce to the upside. We do have the anchored VWAP sitting here at about 941.02 billion. So that's going to be a big level to get above. I don't know if we're going to be able to do it, but if we can get above there, the next target would be sitting up here. This would obviously be good for alts. And, of course, that would line up as Bitcoin dominance starts to look a little bit more bearish. And, again, I'm not calling for some kind of God-tier alt season necessarily. Hopefully it could turn into that. But, we do have to be careful with the whole retracement nature of the market right now for a potentially bigger last capitulation down to some lower prices, which we've covered in the past. I won't cover it too much here, but between about 70 and mid to low 50s is kind of where, if we do go into the bear market, hopefully we can start to build a bottom down there and not have to endure some kind of like crazy traditional 4-year cycle bear market for something more like this, right? We're hoping that it's not going to have to take that long. Maybe March, April, May, we could start to look for some kind of a bottom to form and then, start to, crank back to the upside. That's my base case right now. If it looks like trash down there, we're going to have to call for lower prices, but we just won't know, right? If price action's not down here, I don't know what the chart. If it looks really good down here, I'll have one opinion. If it looks really bad, I'll have a totally opposite opinion. So, is this a special live stream? Shout out to Edward. Yeah, bro, this is for you. You showed up late, dude. The thumbnail has your name on it. Come on. Shout out to Edward. I'm just kidding. No, we're just live because price got a little bit of a move and just exercising free will in 2026. We're going to start going live at random times. Let's see. Is there another point to catch a short, or are we looking for longs now? Shout out to It's Happening. That's a great question. At the end of the day, could you look for longs? It really depends on the context, right? If you were looking at this daily MPOC as support, well, guess what? Could have caught a long there. Maybe... I don't know what your entry confirmation would have been there. You didn't really get an SFP or anything like that. But, let's just say you were looking for a bounce here. Well, hey, you could have caught a little bit of a almost 1% bounce. So it really depends on the context. But, again, looking at the overall trend here on the 1 hour, if that money flow is going to cross over into the red, I would be anticipating this until proven otherwise, right? Like, we can get proven. These indicators don't always play out 100%. This could fake back out into the green. But the base case here would be that this money flow coming out is going to continue the overall downtrend. Could get a little bit of a retracement. I wouldn't long right now, personally, right? I would just be late to that move. If I longed the exact daily naked point of control, maybe that would be okay. But as of right now, my overall anticipation would be something like this, right? And then eventually getting the bigger drop down to the larger support levels down here that we covered in the beginning of the stream. But the question is, where would you look for the short, right? Now, this is not financial advice. This is not a signal or anything like that, but I'll just show you the major levels of resistance that would have the highest probability of a rejection. And where do those levels come in at, guys? If I'm looking for a lower high and a lower low, somebody put it in the dang chat. Where are we looking for those lower highs to come in? Somebody put it in there. I know somebody knows. I like the earlier live stream. Price is moving a lot more during this time than the usual time. Yeah, shout out to Pearly Gates. Definitely. It's all clean now. Shout out to One Life. What is clean? What is clean, brother? What is clean? Let me know. Shout out to Electra. Says 2027 is the year of the metal goat equals gold Bitcoin to 500,000. Shout out to Electra. Is 2027 the year of the GOAT? That's fire. That's going to be a big year for Phoebe, my pet goat. Golden Pocket 786, Frankie, pulled from the high to the low. Shout out to Perry. There we go. That was the answer I was looking for. And two major retracements I would look at. First one would be the full retracement from the absolute high to the low. That gives us, and I'll show you kind of how I would put, what one I would put more weight on if the confluence gives, we'll find out which one has more confluence. But, if we get a full Golden Pocket retracement, well, this is going to be an area that I might, if I'm looking for a short, I might want to have some alert set, right? If we're going to continue the downtrend, this Golden Pocket 786 would be the highest I would like price to go while still looking for lower highs. Once I flip that 786, well, I'm saying, hey, who else gives these lines in the sand, right? Cross this level, flip it to support. That's where I'm looking for the next major level of resistance between 95.3 and, call it $98,000. But if I'm looking for the short, this is the highest I would want price to go. Does that mean that you're guaranteed to get up here? Not necessarily, right? So where's the other major place that we can look? Well, we can obviously look at our lower high to the low, which kind of gives you a very similar level. It just kind of lowers this down a little bit. Golden Pocket sitting at 93,156. Now, at the end of the day, there's no real guarantee that you even have to get up here, right? But for me personally, I like to see at least the retracement into the last major lower high. If we just continue to nuke down from here, right? If we get, there's going to be, if we go down to like a 15-minute time frame, you could potentially even pull a Fibonacci retracement from this little lower high here to the low, which we're much closer to. So let me actually set an alert here in case we hit this during the stream. But, then you pull up the 1 minute, and it's like, oh, well, you can pull it from here. We're hitting a retracement right now. I wouldn't get caught up looking at all those, hyper-local levels necessarily. For me personally, right, I would probably be waiting for the bigger retracement. If it just dumps from there, to me, I just say to myself, listen, I was late to the move. It's okay. If I get up here, I'd look for the confirmations. I'd look to take the trade. If I didn't get up there, let price go. Guess what? If price comes down, sure, you're missing out. But you don't want to react off of that. No FOMO. No FOMO, guys. That is going to get you wrecked, very likely. So, if we did wind up just coming down from one of those local levels, well, I'm not saying I never short those local levels, but at the end of the day, it's like, all right, well, if it just keeps nuking down, I'm not going to chase it. I'm just going to let it go. And then maybe I'm looking for the long when we get down to those bigger key levels of support. But this would be like the major zone I'd be looking at between 93,156. And then once you break 94.28, flip it to support, I'm probably just looking for the continuation up. That would be the last place I would look to reject. So that would be the major level. Now let's try to find a little bit of confluence here on the lower time frames. We'll pull our little volume profile here and look at that. 93. Call it 93,174, has confluence on the value area low. So even if we just kind of separate that, you could start by looking at the lower Fibonacci retracement, and then as you push up, you say, well, hey, I have the value area low confluence. I have, where's that anchored VWAP sitting? Probably close to that level. There it is, right in confluence there. I don't know if that's impressive or embarrassing. I swear I have some kind of a life outside of the charts, guys. But there you go. Value area low. Golden Pocket, anchored VWAP. This anchored VWAP will obviously move if you get the continuation, but you do have a little bit of confluence there. So, I like that. And then where's your 786? It's confluent with the POC of the range. And, sometimes you can see the range not fill in full, and you could potentially reject the 786 for the lower high, right? And then if you pull the full fib, right, you got a little confluence on the value area high. But for now, I would be looking at the Golden Pocket value area low sitting between, call it 95,150 to 93,334, right? And then 786 POC sits right here between 93,793 and 93,695. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. If you don't get the retracement, we just continue to dump. Well, guess what? That is the beauty of catching that beautiful SFP that we saw on the premium. It is really crazy, guys. You cannot convince me that the market makers do not watch my live streams. We were in the premium live stream yesterday, and price was bing-bonging around, right? We were trying to push up, pull up a lower time frame, right? We were just like, I literally ended the stream. I'll go to the 1 minute time frame. I ended the stream. We were waiting. I was like, hey, guys, we'll hang out. We'll see if this gets hit. It just wouldn't get hit, one get hit, one get hit, one get hit, one get hit. We were like right here is where I ended that stream. The next two 1 minute candles sweeps the high for the SFP that we were looking for. And, of course, I updated everybody in the Discord, let them know, hey, SFP, I took a shot. Let's see if we can get the drop down. And, of course, that wound up being a beautiful, beautiful entry for the short. But it really is crazy. It's like, shout out to Mystic Ruin. I don't know if he's in here, but he was in the premium live stream. And it's like the stream was still, the chat was still technically live because it stays live for like a minute or two. And he just put in the chat and he's like, man, it's like the second you get off, the price moved. Insane. Shout out to Bakes, said, got stopped out this morning, had a beautiful entry last night, set my stop loss to break even before bed, woke up to price hitting my stop loss to the T, and then straight back down, sitting on my numb hands. Hey, shout out to Bakes, bro. I A+ comment right there, dude. Not chasing. You got stopped out. Definitely frustrating. I'm sure you feel that. I feel that too. I went through a streak where I got stopped out of like 10 trades in a row at break even while I was sleeping. But that is much better than not having a stop loss set or even taking a small loss, right? So, when you move, sometimes you'll learn over time once you get more experience, like, if it's too soon to move your stop loss to break even or not. If you're getting stopped out of break even like every single time, sometimes you just got to risk it, right? As long as you're not going to sleep with no stop loss, right? So let's say you take the SFP confirmation here. That's like right where my entry is. My stop loss was right above this wick. And then I actually just missed getting stopped out by break even, literally like by ticks. So I almost was in that situation, right? Not everyone's going to have the exact same entry. Maybe you had a slightly lower entry. But listen, bro, that was great execution. You were protecting yourself. But, if that winds up happening all the time, as long as you're going to sleep with some kind of a stop loss, you're not going to wake up to a liquidated account. You just take a small loss, right? Maybe take a 1%, 2% loss on your account, move on to the next trade. You can't avoid losses at the end of the day. They're going to happen. It's part of the game. Cost of doing business is the way I like to explain it. Took the short at 94K. Let's go, baby. Mafia's in the shorts. I love it. Shout out to Mr. Call. Did the time change? Already going live, boss? Shout out to Thumbelero, one of the best names in the game. Yeah, we just decided to go live. But we're exercising free will in 2026. We're going to shock everybody. Oh, my God. Why is Frankie Candles live? Hopefully I'm not scaring anybody because usually we go live in, like, emergency situations. But we got a little volatility. We decided to go live. On what time frame confirmations do you look for Fibonacci retracements to enter a trade? Shout out to Perry. It depends. It depends. At the end of the day, right, if I'm trading the 1 minute time frame, I could be looking at these retracements, right? If I'm looking at the daily time frame, I'm probably looking at the higher time frame retracements. So it really depends on the context of the time frame that you're trading, right? If I'm trading the 1 minute, I might say, hey, I want to take a short maybe at this Fibonacci retracement. Well, if I'm just looking for a little scalp here, this golden pocket's going to be important. I'm not really paying attention to that much higher macro daily golden pocket, right? Not saying that the higher time frame trend doesn't matter, but if you're just looking to scalp the 1 minute time frame, this is why I say, like, if I come up here and pull up every Fibonacci retracement, the thing with Fibonacci retracements is you pull them from highs and lows in the market, right? If you go down to the 1 minute time frame, you're going to have a lot of highs and lows, right? If you go to the 1 hour, you're not even going to see these highs and lows, right? You go to the 1 hour, it's just like massive dump. So it really depends on the time frame that you're trading, and typically I like to pair the time frames together. So, like, if I'm looking at a 4 hour, I'm looking to take a trade on a 4 hour time frame. I'm probably looking at the 4 hour Fibonacci retracements. But if I'm looking, like, for in this instance, right, 1 hour time frame, we get the move down, we get the retracement for the lower high and the lower low, right? Well, here's my short. Let's just say I didn't catch the short, which obviously we did. But let's just say I missed the entry here, and I was looking to get in after the best entry, right, which is where we're in at. Well, I would say to myself, where's the best place to enter? Well, if we get the cool off, right, your red dot prints on the 1 hour, you start to get the dump on the 1 hour. Eventually, you end up getting a green dot, which indicates an ebb or flow. Green and red dots indicate the ebbs and flows. And you'll see here, you have a little ebb, little flow, little ebb, little flow, little ebb, little flow, little ebb, right? But this would be like lower time frame. You can see there's no green or red dots on market cipher B here. You only have the one that started the dump and the one that started the major retracement. So if I'm trading the 1 hour time frame, I'd be looking at this as, hey, I missed my entry up here. I'm going to let this come down. I'm going to wait for the retracement and get an entry on that Fibonacci golden pocket 786. So where would I pull that on? Well, I'm going to pull that on the 1 hour, right? Because if I'm trading based off this time frame, I'm going to go from the significant high to the significant low. Not this little high to this little low, right? There's like from this high to this low and this little bounce is like the red dot is still just printing, right? So you got to let this have a little bit of time to play out. Don't panic. Don't FOMO. Imagine FOMOing short as price is dumping here. You would have gotten absolutely cooked. And even if it played out, you're getting a way worse entry than if you just wait for the retracement. You almost get hilariously enough, again, my entry is right here. If you miss this and you wait for that next green dot to give you the significant retracement from the high to the low, where does it push into? Directly into that golden pocket 786. Literally almost give you the I'm not saying you would get the exact entry at the tip of the wick, but if you did, right, it gives you the opportunity to try to get that entry right where you had the original entry. Instead of FOMOing in down here, getting stopped out, and then thinking, oh my God, we're pumping, let me go long, and then getting cooked. Most people get chopped up in the market because they're just impatient. They're thinking, oh my God, we're dumping. Oh my God, we're dumping. Short. I'm wrecked. We're breaking out. Long. Wrecked. Be patient. Identify the trend, which money flow helps out a lot with. And in this case, you get the drop down. Money flow is trending out. I'm anticipating a lower high and a lower low. This would be the full retracement. That's where I'm looking to take the entry, right? And this fib was pulled on the 1 hour. If I come down to the 1 minute, you'll see these little ebbs and flows will be significant on the 1 minute. Maybe if you wanted to catch an earlier entry, right? Like subjective, right? You could potentially get the lower time frame drop, a lower time frame retracement, and enter in on this Fibonacci, right? And I bet you that's a Fibonacci retracement if I had to guess, right? Don't crucify me if it's not, but I can almost guarantee you, oh my God, we got a drop, right? I think this is an SFP. I'm expecting a continuation down. On an SFP, I'm not expecting to get another push back up above this high. So you get the drop. Look at this. Red dot, drop. Now I'm on the 1 minute time frame. I get a green dot. I see a little retracement. Let me pull my Fibonacci, or I'm on the 5 minute actually. Fibonacci retracement. Ooh, barely missed it. Put it on log. I still don't get it. But you know, if you go down to the 1 minute, technically you could pull it. No, maybe not, right? But me personally, I would have just missed that entry because it didn't come up to the retracement level. But a lot of times what you will see is, you know, it's not horrible to get another entry here, right? If it, let's just say it did tap into that golden pocket retracement, well, boom, you can get in on that retracement for the continuation down. And then, you know, still would have gotten that little bit of a push back up to break even, but eventually it does continue to the downside, right? But if I'm on the 1 minute, I'm going to be pulling this fib. But if I'm trading based off the 1 hour, you know, it takes a lot longer for this to play out. Right? So you just remain patient. Oh my God, I'm missing it. Oh my God, I'm missing it. FOMO short? Absolutely not. Be patient. Look at that VWAP curling up. This is indicating an Ebra flow to the upside. Money flow is coming out. Safe to look for the lower high on the Fibonacci retracement. Free sauce, guys. People charge for this. There you go. Shout out to, I think it was Perry asked for that. And you had a 15-minute bear div into that level, into this one. There it is. Right? So when it comes to entry triggers, I mean, I don't know. We might be giving away too much here, but there's your Fibonacci retracement. And again, what do I do here? I set the alert. I'm not going to set it because we already tapped it, right? But set the alert. Walk away from the chart. If it dumps, it dumps. Guess what? You didn't have a good entry anyway. Let it play out. Look for another trade. Maybe scalp the long. Maybe wait for another bigger retracement like we just went over. Low-key a freebie for the Mafia. But not a signal. Just an idea, guys. Not financial advice. Don't just do what some crazy YouTuber says. Not a financial advisor. I'm just some weird guy on the internet. But yeah, you know, you're looking up in here, right? Well, do you just wait to tap the level? I mean, you could, right? Some people just wait for a reaction off the level. Maybe you look to tap it and then lose it, and then you take the entry. Or what I like to do is take it off an actual confirmation. Higher highs, lower highs. There's your 15-minute bear div. There's your entry. There's the drop. All right, that's it. That's it, guys. That's it. Anyway, is anyone yo, Rudy said I can't say it, bro. I thought it said papusa, which is a hilarious word for what you're mentioning there. But anyway, let's continue on. Shout out to Jen Friend. He said, Mr. Candles, what a surprise. Have a like on me, brother, and thanks for your time, my friend. Shout out to Jen Friend. Welcome in, and thanks for hanging out with us here on the Frankie Candles Random Free Will live stream. All right, let's see. Frankie's word is gospel. Must follow. Shout out to Indian Martini. We've been seeing Indian Martini. There's always a couple Mafia members that we keep an eye on making progress. Indian Martini is one of them. They're asking good questions, and they're making progress. We love to see it. Shout out to Kalia as well, one of the probably biggest increases in their trading journey or improvements in a trading journey that I've seen in a while. Shout out to, oh man, I don't know how to say that word, but shout out to you, brother. He says, eating seaweed rice chicken with some sauce from KFC, Cobra energy drink Woomera, red wine, and coffee. 2:44 a.m. in the Philippines. Yo, that sounds like the life, bro. It's a wild meal. A wild mix of food and drink there. Energy drink plus wine is kind of crazy. Yo, Papusa's fire. Shout out to Dot. Yo, dude, Papusa's hilarious. And it's further enough from the real word to be able to say it and still be somewhat family friendly there. Can you share the new chart with us in the premium Discord? Yes, I will do that. I actually was going to do that last night. Totally slipped my mind. But yeah, I will. Honestly, the chart pretty much remains the same, but I'll give you guys the updated chart for sure. I'll do it right after this live stream. Kentucky Fried Candles, absolutely. Do I use market cipher support and resistance? I want to be very clear about this. If I don't use something, it doesn't mean it's bad. It doesn't mean you shouldn't use it. I personally don't use it. For what reason? I don't know. I don't really have a good reason. I just don't use it. I could try to pull it up for you here. I think this is just the VWAP, I believe. Yeah. So, I mean, it has a ton of other things. I don't know what this looks like by default. Yeah. So, no, I don't use it. I'm not saying you shouldn't use it. But no, I just simple answer. I don't use it. It's just like automated support and resistance. I just use other things for support and resistance. That's the only reason I don't use it. So yeah, I wish I can give you a better answer, but it's yeah, I just don't. Doesn't mean you and like even DBSI. I used to use this a lot more. I don't really use this either. Doesn't mean it's not good. I usually, if I do look at this, I'm looking at it on a higher time frame. Even Market Cipher A at this point, I don't really use it that much on the higher time frames, or I don't use it that much on the lower time frames. But on a high time frame, right? A daily yellow X is going to be a pretty powerful signal, right? Obviously, stands true, right? And it doesn't mean that it doesn't stand true on a 15-minute or something like that. But I just typically look at this stuff on the higher time frames. They're less the signals are less crowded. It's less choppy. Just like any indicator that you use. But I do have them here, right? So I'll be Market Cipher support and resistance I never really used. I just have it up here. DBSI and Market Cipher A I will turn on from time to time on the higher time frames just to check them out, right? And we talk about those signals when they pop up. Recently we had the 3-day yellow X that we talked about, saw the continuation to the downside. So I just kind of turn it on, I turn it off, right? One of the indicators that I do use for support and resistance, and I actually was going to bring this up in the beginning of the stream, is going to be the Lux Algo Smart Trail. This is more like a moving average type support and resistance. It's very simple. It's very clean. Let me go ahead and pull this up real quick. Come on. There we go, right? So if I pull this up on the 8-hour, you can see if we pull up our macro range, right, you can see this massive smart trail. This smart trail on the higher time frames is pretty reliable. And if we are going to see a continuation to the downside, continuing to get a little bit of a bounce here off the daily MPOC, but if we do see that downtrend continue like we talked about, this smart trail is slowly going to move up. It's going to be a big level that you're going to want to hold, right? Because once you break this and this smart trail winds up turning red and you get underneath it, it's going to become major resistance and could indicate a continuation of a larger downtrend. So this is one indicator that I use for support and resistance. It's just very simple. And you can see here, right? It also gets choppy as well. Any indicator is going to get choppy in choppy price action. But like as long as you're below it, right, this is major resistance, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, no lower low, but does prove to be resistance, and then we flip green, we stay above. So if we come down and tap this, this would be huge. And the only reason I pay attention to this is because it is very confluent with that same exact key level that we talked about just based off the price action. Your golden pocket, 786. Daily MPOC, right? This is coming right up in here. So if it lines up, that could be a huge level to look at. There we go. A little bit of an alert here. Let's pull up the lower time frame. There was that tiny little local fib that we talked about. I was like, what was that? There's the golden pocket being tapped. Are we going to break it? Are we going to break it? We'll see. Are we going to get a lower high here? This is your first. And again, like I said before, guys, I would be more interested in waiting for the bigger retracement. But again, at the end of the day, not impossible to project here. Let me just check these. Yo, shout out to BTC Bill. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Shout out to you, brother. Thank you. Somebody clip it. Shout out to BTC Bill. Let's go, baby. Dropping the 10 Frankie Candles memberships. Bro, you are so generous, dude. Thank you so much. He's been showing so much love to the channel and the Mafia. If you just got a membership from BTC Bill, drop a golden emoji or the GOAT emoji in the chat. Let's go, baby. Shout out to you, man. Thank you so much. These memberships are not cheap, guys. Show them some love in the chat. Shout out to BTC Bill, bro. We appreciate you. And we do have one more super chat here. Shout out to Simonelia. I hope I said that right. Thank you for the super chat. Chat said, best explanation for money flow. Gonna help me a lot. Yeah, like if you guys are using Market Cypher B, this is really the main indicator that lives on my chart at all times, right? There it is. This has the money flow. It shows me divergences. I get the red and the green dots. And not only does it show me the red and green dots, but it also shows me the VWAP, which lets me know if there's a red and green dot very likely to print. So when it comes to if you use Market Cypher B, maybe you're new to using it, I'll just give you the most simple explanation that he is talking about. And that is, and I'll pull it up on a higher time frame just so it's very simple. The red and green dots indicate ebbs and flows in the market, right? Money flow indicates trend. There's your trend. Red dot, green dot, red dot, green dot. This is very helpful because this money flow is like a filter, letting us know if we're looking to gig along the lows for a continuation on the trend, we're trading with the trend, or if money flow is coming out, right, you would be looking for lower highs and lower lows. The money flow would be indicating the overall trend, and you might get a green dot, and you might say, well, isn't that a bullish signal? Well, how do I separate this? Green dot's bullish, but money flow's coming out. Well, that just simply means that the green dot could be an ebb or flow to the upside for a lower high and a lower low, right? Lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. If money flow is crossing into the green, you're looking for a high, a higher high, a high, a higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. Right? It's a very, very simple. Red and green dots are ebbs, flows. Red dot, green dot, red dot, green. Red dot, green dot, red dot, green dot. But price is continuing up. You could be bearish on the red dot looking for a move down, but it's very important to understand the context. If money flow is coming up, sure, that's bearish, but only to put in a higher low and continue the longer-term uptrend. This is... there's never a secret indicator. Nothing's going to tell you 100% when to buy or sell. There's no indicator that's never going to fake out. They all fake out at some point. They're all just taking information and plotting them on some kind of a visual aid. Number one, I like the simple visual nature of money flow and Market Cypher, but also the idea of just understanding, like if I was looking for a scalp short, maybe this weekly red dot's very important for that, right? I wouldn't say weekly, but maybe a higher time frame red dot's going to assist me on a short, right? But if the money flow is coming up, that high time frame money flow is going to let me know, is that short going to be somewhat of a long-term continuation trade, or is it going to be, or am I just looking to capitalize on this move, right? You can make a ton of money on this move, just like if you're long from here, you can make a ton of money on this move. People say you can't short in a bull market. That's not true, right? If you watch this channel, we shorted a lot in this bull market, right? We obviously longed a lot too. The longs are going to continue. The shorts are still there to be had, right? If you're holding a long from down here in a bull market, sure, you're going to want to hold that in anticipation of the continuation of the trend, right? And maybe you're going to want to long these for the continuation of the trend. That does not mean you cannot make a ton of money catching the pullbacks, right? As a trader, you just need price to go up or down. It doesn't matter. You make money both ways. You're either betting on price going up or betting on price going down. Shout out to Golden in the chat. What is going on, brother? Welcome in. Golden's a private guy, so I won't share exactly what it was. I don't think he'll care, but Golden just shared some crazy pictures of him doing some really cool stuff in Discord. He is, me and Tony were talking about you, Golden, man. Golden's the real deal, man. Shout out to Golden. Says, bro, I literally turned on the TV and I saw you were live. The moment I pulled up your stream, you said Golden the GOAT. It's like subconsciously I knew you were talking about me. Creepy. Shout out to Golden. Is that how you know when price is going to move, Golden? It's like some kind of like telepathy with the market. Shout out to Golden, baby. Welcome in, brother. Welcome in. Hope you're doing well. Seems like you're doing well. He's just living his best life, man. Golden is a legend, guys. He said, maybe that's my superpower. I just know when people were talking about me, my ears were literally ringing at that moment. Shout out to Golden, bro. We got that telepathy, bro. We got that telepathy. He said, and he was talking about dropping membership. So, oh, no. Oh, no. We might have a golden waterfall on the way, guys. Oh, God. Oh, God. Golden is Frankie from the future. I'll be honest with you guys, Golden has proved himself to be so almost like unbelievable of a person. Like it's almost hard. Like if he did not, like he has proven to be the person he is. Very hard story to believe, but he's just given irrefutable proof. I'm not going to say exactly what it is, but he is who he says he is. If he told me that he was me from the future, I would have no option but to just believe him. It's crazy. Shout out to Big Dryda. Thank you for the super chat, bro. He said, what do you think of VeChain? We can take a look at VeChain real quick. Haven't looked at VeChain in quite some time. And there is the golden waterfall, baby. Come on. Shout out to Golden. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Golden, unbelievable with the 50 Frankie Candles memberships. Chat is just flying up with those memberships. Drop that golden emoji. I'm spamming golden emojis for our boy. Come on, baby. Come on. Drop that goat or golden. Actually, drop the golden emoji. Start that golden shout. Golden waterfall, guys. It's not a shower. It's a waterfall. Start that golden waterfall in the chat for our boy Golden, the most selfless human being on earth. Thank you so much, bro. And BTC Bill gifting the memberships. You guys are awesome. Golden, I don't know. I am grateful to have you in the Mafia, bro. It is insane. I'm grateful to know you as a person. Unbelievably generous person and an awesome guy. Shout out to Golden, man. W Golden. W's in the chat. Golden emojis in the chat. And another 50 Frankie Candles memberships. He's not stopping. Come on. I don't even know. I don't even know how many viewers we have right now. Hopefully there's enough to get the right. We're live at a random time here. Hopefully there's enough people to get the memberships. Guys, if you do not have your memberships activated in your YouTube settings, make sure you do it. Make sure you do it. Otherwise, you won't be able to get those gifts. All you got to do is be in chat and make sure you have that setting on your YouTube enabled because they turn it off by default. I don't know why they would do that, but make sure you turn it on. Shout out to Golden, baby. Let's go. Unbelievable. Rigged. Shout out to Mr. Jinx. I don't even know what's going on. Shout out to Paul Boy. Basically, Golden is making it rain memberships on the Mafia. But let's take a quick look at VeChain here. Me. Shout out to MCN. But let's take a look here on VeChain. I think we have a VeChain chart somewhere. There it is. All right, so we have not looked at VeChain in quite some time, so a lot of these are probably invalidated. I don't even know where is this fib even pulled from. Oh, yeah, that's old. Take this. Will it break? Oh, guys, didn't look like it broke. All right, so, I mean, volume profile remains the same. I'm actually going to go ahead and extend this over to the right a little bit. I'll give you the key levels here on VeChain. So here's your volume profile, pretty much your bear market range from 2022. Which is incredible to see that VeChain was just basically came in for a lower high. The only time we had some kind of an alt season. Yo, chat still going nuts with memberships. This is insane. It's chat looks wild on my end right now. Yo, Golden said you caught yourself. Yes, I almost said it. Oh my God. It's always a lit live stream when Golden is here. All right, so here's your volume profile on VeChain. Whoops, let me grab that level there. Value area low sits here at about 0.016 cents, if that's how you say it. We have filled this wick. We have SFP'd the liquidation wick from back in October. So that was honestly really the only thing we could have looked at if we were looking at VeChain, which we weren't. Only thing you have down here is this wick, right? So we've SFP'd that wick on the 3-day at least, right? Daily as well. So we've come down, taken out that wick. And I would say, is it impossible to get a little more of a continuation up here? Well, obviously, that's going to depend on what Bitcoin does. It's going to depend on what the rest of the altcoins do. Ethereum does, of course. But we do have, just like everything else, daily money flow trying to come back up. A lot of market cipher B is going to remain exactly the same, guys, as on all the altcoins, right? Ethereum's money flow is coming up. Solana's money flow is coming up on the daily, right? XRP's money flow is coming up on the daily. This doesn't change the higher time frame outlook. Now, on something like VeChain, we've been in the red for quite some time. So, I'm not saying that the altcoins can't get another drop to the downside, but, obviously, a lot of people will say can't go lower, right? Only for it to go lower. So I'm not going to say it's impossible to go lower, but this doesn't look as it's in the red. That's bearish, right? But like when I see Bitcoin's money flow just about to cross into the red, that indicates to me that this downtrend could just be getting started, right? Like in 2021, if we mark out like kind of similar money flow where it's like just starting to cross over into the red here, what happened? We got a nice little pump on the green dot but it was an ebb or flow to the upside before a lower high and a lower low. So I am still cautious of that on Bitcoin. And if that happens, obviously altcoins are probably going to follow suit, right? I just don't know. Maybe they're just kind of already hammered down crazy right now. So I just don't know how much lower they're going to go. Hopefully, they've kind of already lost a lot of their they've already kind of lost a lot of their value. So but we took out this wick. If you get a bigger pump to the upside, if that daily money flow is able to cross into the green, to be very clear, it's not crossing over just yet, but it is trending to the upside, which is nice to see. The anticipation would be, even if you get this red dot, hopefully you can hold the higher lows, continue up, eventually get this money flow to continue into the green. If that happens, the biggest targets I would be looking at are very simply going to be sitting up here. Value area low sitting at about 0.016 cents. And then this, just like on XRP, right, this would be a big retracement, right? It's not a retracement level, but on a retracement, this will be a big level of resistance until proven otherwise. Once you flip that level to support, that would technically open the door to get the bigger push up towards the point of control of the range. Now, if we start pulling some Fibonacci retracements, we could see if we have any confluence on these levels. And there you go, right? So I would say your last significant retracement does come in right here on the POC. So on a big push to the upside, like this would be a big level to watch. Number one, you got to get above the value area low, and then you have the POC golden pocket sitting between about 0.02 and 0.023. And of course, if you wanted to extend that up to the 786, you could. But for me personally, if you reject that 786, you're going to kind of come right into that point of control, right? So with money flow coming up, if it is coming into the green on the daily, right, you could potentially still look for higher lows and higher highs. And then like the highest I'm willing to talk about right now would just to get a push back up to this value area high. Not promised, not guaranteed, right? This is a big level that you could look at for a lower high and a lower low. Now, that's not the only level. As we just talked about the Fibonacci retracements, we just dropped that little sauce on the fibs. Kind of hard here, to be quite honest, right? Like that would be the most significant retracement. And then the next one I would look at, well, look at that, right? So these would definitely be the next major targets. Golden pocket 786. If you get the big rejection here, definitely a lower high opportunity for a lower low to come in. But if you flip that POC, and again, it's going to depend on what money flow looks like up here. If it looks good up here, we can look for we'll know if it's going to be a higher probability of a continuation or a rejection. But just be aware that is a Fibonacci retracement. It's probably the most local one I would be willing to look at, and it has confluence on the value area low. And then if we flip that point of control, right, the next major Fibonacci retracement will be sitting up here. So those would be the big levels I'd be looking at. Other than that, market cipher B looks very similar to everything else. I wouldn't be surprised if you get that red dot to get one more cool off. But of course, you're hoping for a higher low and a higher high to continue this kind of local uptrend. All right, let's see. Shout out to Crypto Love, said, Frankie, please, 1 minute bear div printing into the local golden pocket. You set the alert on. What do you make of that? Just a local level. If you scrub back a little bit when we covered that live, it's just, I use that as an example of like, you can have Fibonacci retracements very, very low, right? Or very, very locally, right? And well, here you are, right? You tapped into the golden pocket. You get the little retracement or you get the little rejection back down. This is not, for me personally, if I was not holding my short from the top here, I would not be as interested in this level, right? I would probably be waiting for the much bigger level of resistance, which sits on the bigger Fibonacci retracement, closer to 93,152. Now, you might not make it up there, right? The reason I pulled that local fib up is like, it is possible that you can just reject from there. But I personally wouldn't be interested in that. If it just dumps from there, it's the beauty of being in from like a higher price. If you were in from here, or even on the bigger, more significant retracement here, for a scalp, I would say, right? But for me, right, I would not be taking that after we drop down. I would want to be taking that in the golden pocket as we were tapping, right? This will be a little bit of a late entry in my opinion. You have the red dot looking to print on the 7 minute, so maybe you do continue down, but I wouldn't put as much weight on that, right? I would much rather wait for a bigger push to the upside, maybe come up in here and then get the rejection, but that's not promised, right? But again, that's why I do like, I'd rather get my entries at the top. It's much more comfortable, right? So hopefully that helps you out, brother. Shout out to Rami. Says, it looks like we're going to 97 and 98K, right? Shout out to Rami. Medium term, I would say that is the next major level to look at. But with some of the signals that we looked at earlier in the stream. Just scrub back to the beginning of the stream. I explained it all. It does look like we could get a little bit of a bigger retracement. We got some CME gaps down here in the low 90s to upper 80s. Got the major value area low sitting here. So I wouldn't be surprised, especially with the 1 hour money flow coming out. It wouldn't be impossible to just kind of continue the downtrend down to these bigger levels. But eventually the hope there would be for your daily money flow, right? And even your VWAP on the daily rolling over could help that little ever flow to the downside. But the hope here is to keep this money flow in the green, put in a higher time frame, higher low, and then hopefully at some point we can come revisit this level. I would still love this level to get hit. And I do still think it's in the cards. But of course, right, there's a reason we took that short here at the high. High probability of rejection, very clean entry trigger there on the SFP. Textbook trade, textbook SFP. Is Knight oversold? We'll take a look at Knight in just a second. Wouldn't be surprised to see 104K range next week. That is in that next major zone. Once we get above 98, if we can get above $98,000, I should say. If we could flip that next major level of resistance, which of course it's between 95.3 and 98K, the next major zone does sit between about like 102-ish to 105K. So that would make sense as a next big target. But if we can get to 98K, then we'll start talking about those upper targets. You still, you got to get above that major resistance first. And above this major golden pocket that we have here at almost $98,000, right? But yeah, definitely not impossible. Definitely a target that I'm keeping an eye on. Knight. Let's take a quick look at Knight. So, actually, shout out to Knight. It's pretty funny because someone asked me to look at this. A lot of people asked me to look at this yesterday, and I was talking about how I don't have a lot of high time frame information, right? So very hard for me to kind of talk about, like, is this going to continue up long term, or are we just going to melt down here? I literally have nothing to look at. But what did we look at? We looked at that 4 hour money flow coming out, and we pulled up our major volume profile here saying this is your next zone of support. You had the POC down into the value area low, deviation above the high, rejection at that point, right? Fill the volume profile into the low. We've now tapped that. This is support. This is a fresh money flow crossover into the red, right? So at face value on the 4 hour time frame, this does look a little bit more likely to be a lower high, lower low situation. And if that is the case, the next big level to look at, in my opinion, is going to be this weekly horizontal and golden pocket confluence sitting between 0.067 and 0.064. So yes, you're oversold, but oversold does not mean that you're just necessarily going to launch back up into new all-time highs, right? Because with that money flow coming out, right, like oversold, yes. Green dot about to print, yes. Oversold relatively, yes. Bounce potentially incoming at support, yes. Potentially, right? Obviously not 100% confirmed, but that's what you would anticipate. But when I'm looking at the overall trend continuation, I have to be careful of lower highs and lower lows, right? Especially when you have this big level of support down here. So we'll see. But until then, right, you have this volume profile. And let me just get this box. I'll just take this off the chart. So there you go. High, rejection, fill it to the low. See if you had any like low time frame confirmations down here. Yeah, 90-minute. I just have no information on the daily. It's so hard. It's so hard. Of course, the bias yesterday was correct. But yeah, I would just be careful of lower highs here. Just because of this money flow. If it scams back into the green, well, hey, maybe you can continue up. But, your next major Fibonacci retracement sitting down here, 0.067, 0.064. So if you do lose this range, at the end of the day, if you hold on top of the value area low, doorway to the POC is open. Flip the POC. I would say technically the doorway to the value area high is open, but because of that money flow coming out, again, you got to be careful of that trend continuation, so you got to pull your fibs. Major Fibonacci retracements I would look at would be pulled from the lower high to the low right here. And then the one just before that is going to be pulled from the lower high to the low. Sitting where I wish this was confluent with the POC, which it's not. So you got to be careful around these Fibonacci retracements. Again, pulled from the major high to the low, and the lower high to the low, right? If we hold here, POC is open. Flip the POC, be very careful around here. If you could flip that 786, be very careful around here. We flip that 786, value area high is next. Again, I would have a much better indication. I would have to assume, right, with all the other daily money flow coming up on altcoins, if I had information on the daily, which I don't, if I had information on the daily here on Knight, I would, maybe it would look the same as everything else, which would be like, red wave starting to come up, that would be very nice for a continuation. But I just don't have the information to be able to confidently call for that. And even if you are going to get the continuation, that 4-hour money flow still could indicate a little bit bigger of a pullback before. So watch those retracement levels. And, yeah, I mean, you're within your range. Once you wind up losing this value area low, can't get back in, then I would be looking all the way down here. Shout out to Golden, bro. Oh, my God. $50 super chat. Thank you so much, Golden. Thank you, bro. He says, funny you should talk about the future. Dad, go downstairs and tell Mom how much I love her and miss her. Now you understand what I really mean every time I say I owe everything I have because of you. Shout out to Golden, bro. Unbelievable, bro. Thank you for saying that, man. And, yeah, I talked to Tony, and I'm like, man, Golden's so nice to us, man. Golden's so nice to the Mafia. And you tell us, we changed your life, but, bro, I only sit up here and give information, bro. You put it into effect, and you actually make the money. You take what you learn and you put it into effect. And whether you're watching the live stream from some kind of luxurious office at the top of a penthouse, or literally watching a live stream inside a private jet, as you've shown videos of, and we've shown them on the live stream, clearly you've done some things right in the past to be watching me on a private jet. Shout out to Golden, bro. The GOAT, the absolute legend, Golden. Love it, bro. Thank you for the super chat. And thank you for the kind words, bro. It means more than you probably think. Golden is the golden boy of the Mafia. Maybe he's the godfather. You never know. Darren Does Things in the chat. What is going on, Darren? I didn't see you here in the beginning. I don't know if you snuck in a little bit later, but welcome in, Darren. Shout out to Darren Does Things. What is going on? Shout out to Bullish on Parade, said Golden. If you start a cult, I'm so joining. Shout out to Golden. We're in the Golden Cult. The Golden Cult. Of course, the Candle Mafia is not a cult, guys. We do candle rituals with the lights off and stuff. We do kind of worship goats in a way, but we're not a cult. Hashtag not a cult. Anyway, shout out to Saad, says, Frankie, what about the giveaway announcement? I don't know if you're talking about the funded account giveaway announcement. We announced those on the live stream last Friday, so you could rewatch that live stream to see that. Or it's also posted in the free Discord as well. So if you're in there, you can check it. I believe it's in the announcement section. Shout out to Swolex. Bro, that is a fire name. He says, love Frankie. He saved us all more than once. Shout out to Swolex. You guys have saved me more than once, believe it or not. But shout out to you, man. I'm just up here giving the information, and only raw data-driven information. Never hopeless, senseless hopium. Hopeless hopium? Senseless hopium. Just raw information. If the chart says it's going down, that's what I am forced to say, right? I can't say anything different. Don't forget to smash that like button, guys. Thank Golden. If you're going to thank Golden, smash that like button. Drop a golden emoji. What am I going to start buying spot again? Shout out to, I don't know how to say that name, but shout out to you, bro. When am I going to start buying spot again? Well, I guess I should start that off by saying I'm not 100% out of the market. I am very much out of the market, but I do still hold a little bit of my Bitcoin. There's a portion of my Bitcoin I'll just never sell. But not never, right? But just, long-term perspective on those spot bags. What I'll tell you is what we looked at last time to start buying the bottom of the bear market and how that typically plays out. I'm going to show this very briefly because I've covered it many times on the channel. Let me just get my box set up here real quick so I can make it. So historically, the best time to start buying Bitcoin from a technical perspective is, you can pay attention to the 4-year cycle. Sure, I do expect that to break at some point. But if you're going to be looking, historically, the best time to start buying Bitcoin on spot is two things. You want to look for the money flow crossover into the red. And typically, you have to wait for one big capitulation, right? When you see this weekly money flow crossing into the red, it is very indicative of a continuation to the downside. And because it's such a high time frame, it's typically a very big drop. You can see the money flow crossed over right here. Eventually, we get the big capitulation. At that point, right, that is the best time to start buying spot. So, I would say wait for the week. I typically wait for the weekly money flow crossovers. But it's not like once the money flow crosses over, because technically it was crossed over right here. Typically, I wait for one more capitulation, right? So you wait weekly money flow crossover, big capitulation. There's your best time to start buying the bear market, right? And even if you were to be buying right into the crossover back into the green, which typically indicates the start of the bull market, which obviously is the case, that is typically the best time to start buying Bitcoin, right? So you get the money flow crossover in the red, buy, bull run. Money flow crossover into the red, buy, bull run. And then back into, I didn't have my channel back then, but back here, money flow crosses red, capitulation, buy, bull run, right? Very simple. That's typically what I look for, right? So I do pay a lot of attention when it comes to my spot bags. Of course, I'm paying attention to the higher time frames. The weekly money flow crossovers are very rare. We had 1, 2, 3 major crossovers on the weekly, and we are potentially about to see our 4th, right? Unless we go up and make a random new all-time high. Hey, I'm still holding partial of my bags. I'll still be able to capitalize on that. I do still also hold some of my altcoins. But if that crosses red, that is really where I start to pay attention, looking for bottoms, looking to dollar cost average into the market. And no, I do not wait to buy my entire bag at the bottom, right? Because the bottom is very hard to call to a T. It is dollar cost average. Buy a little bit today. Next day. Oh, it's coming up. Still buying in the bear market. Still buying. You average down. You'll get a nice little average, or I got a nice little average entry price around 20 to 21K. And then you're sitting on your bags looking for that big continuation up. And then again, even if you were buying into that first money flow crossover, even if it fakes out a little bit, typically that first indication here, that first little money flow crossover, I don't know if you can see it. Typically when that happens, even if it's a fake out, it does indicate that the bottom's in and you're just eventually going to continue that overall uptrend. So even if you were just buying all from the last capitulation all the way into like here, right? Like look where you're buying between 15 and 28K. Bitcoin runs into 126K, right? So, and again, it's a dollar cost average. The stuff that you buy up here, it gets averaged out. And then there's other things as well, right? We were coming into a major level of resistance up here, so there's other reasons why I would stop buying, but typically from a simple perspective, just historically, money flow crosses green. That's typically indicative of the bottom being in. So there you go. All right, let's see. What money flow indicator is that? That is Market Cipher. There you go. You can click the link in the description down below if you want to save money. I don't say that to shill. This is literally, if you watch my channel, I use this every single day. It's the best indicator when it comes to momentum and money flow, in my opinion. Let's see. Wait for 39.4. Shout out to Bullish on Parade. We'll see. Definitely in the cards. We'll see what happens around the 50s, around that previous all-time high, and then hopefully we could see a bottom come in. If not, I would be looking down to the 30s at that point. If we do have to be bearish, if the charts look like trash, if Bitcoin does get the bigger drop to the downside here and it looks like garbage down here, probably going to be looking not that low, right? But probably just going to be looking within this volume profile, right? Auction market theory. Major volume profiles, right? Obviously, this is the range that we're looking at right now, pretty much, roughly. You have value, and then the next big value area is down here. So if we can't catch value down here, see the bottom come in down on a deviation below, reclaim bull market. Maybe it happens a little sooner this cycle. Maybe that's how this cycle is different. They start printing money. We don't know exactly what's going to happen with that. Again, there's no way for me to say what it's going to look like down here macroeconomically or from even a chart perspective. But if it does wind up looking like trash, right? Like I am a slave to the charts, right? We come down here and it looks bullish. I have no choice but to be like, hey guys, this is what we're seeing. This is my opinion on the information. If it comes down here and in that case, if it's bullish, right, we'll be looking for a big move up. And then, if we come down here and it looks like trash, I'll have no choice but to be looking for lower highs and a bigger capitulation down, in which case the worst case scenario would be to come down here into our lower value area, right? The one thing I like about this upper value area is it does bring you to retest essentially the previous all-time high, right? You could dip a little bit below it, just like we did back here. There's your previous all-time high. We end up dipping a little below it, reclaiming, and then send it. If we see something similar, maybe you come down, you dip it, you send it, right? And again, I'm not going to call timing or anything like that, but if we get down there and it looks super bearish, well, I would have no choice but to say, hey, just like on a 5-minute time frame or a 1-hour time frame, hey guys, if we lose this value area high and we get accepted in, guess where we're very likely to go? Back down to the POC. That POC sits at $34,330. And shout out to Bullish on Parade. What number did he say? 39,400, right? So obviously, all have other levels in here. Maybe 39,500 is a level, but I would just be looking inside this volume profile, right? Price seeks out fair value. So there you go. A little bit of a anticipation there. Hopefully, we don't have to deal with that, but we'll see what happens up in here. There's no way for me to say if we're definitely going to get that. If the 4-year cycle repeats, like history has, you are probably expecting the lower worst case scenario. But if they start printing money, that would just, in general, be good for risk on assets, right? You can't, just like you can't ignore the bearish signals just like we don't ignore the bearish signals we saw up here with the weekly money flow coming out, massive bearish divergences, the loss of 108K. This is where we were screaming from the rooftops, big dump incoming, right? Very likely. Just like we don't ignore that, you can't ignore the bullish signs either, and we won't. Right? If we come down here and it's like, man, we got money printing, we got all this bullish stuff, and the chart looks good, we just have to take that information at face value. Can't ignore it. The one thing that would stink is if we wind up getting a push down here, they start printing money, and the chart looks like trash. That would cause a bit of a conundrum. I don't know if that's the right word. World War III, shout out to Neon Visual. Hopefully not. But again, as I said, there's really nothing here other than the technicals that are bearish, right? Like, there's no real reason for retail to feel super bearish. There's no real narrative saying that, crypto's dead, crypto's over forever, oh my God, sell it all. That's why we see a lot of hope in the market, a lot of optimism. And hey, at the end of the day, maybe they're right? They thought the same thing here. Higher lows, hidden weekly bullish divergence, super bullish, all-time highs, 100K incoming. They were wrong here. They were going against the charts. This is definitely looking like a similar situation. Could they be right? They could have been right back here for all I knew, right? But again, the higher probability was the chart, which was obviously pointing down. But there's no real narrative here to make people bearish, right? Maybe we see some kind of a narrative come in eventually. We get the big capitulation, and then people are thinking, all right, now we're finally in a bear market. Meanwhile, we had been in a bear market for some time, and then they're late to the party on the bottom. It's exactly what happened back here. No one thought we were entering a bear market on these massive bearish confirmations. We knew it was likely incoming on that weekly money flow coming out, but everyone's just seeing higher lows. There's no real bearish narrative. Terra Luna collapse. Boom. Oh, my God. This is terrible. They're going to regulate it into the... Oh, my God. How could it get any worse? Crypto's over. 3K incoming. That's the bottom. Send it back up. This is where people say, finally, we're entering a bear market, but that's the bottom, right? Just like when people come in at the top. Oh, my God. Bitcoin's above 100K. Bull market starting. The bull market starts at the bottom, right? Bull market started down here. You don't want to be late to the party on either direction, right? And I just know this from experience, right? I was not perfect. Let's see. What is my opinion on the ETH intraday levels? Well, we are rejecting the 786 currently. I don't know how local you want to go, but I would say flipping this POC or getting above this 786 point of control zone, that would be the level to flip to get a big move to the upside, right? Or a bigger move to the upside. Yeah, you're still going to have to deal with a little bit of this garbage in here. You got a POC up here that we rejected previously at about 34.44. But, at the end of the day, from a Fibonacci perspective, if you could break that POC 786 and hold it as support, you would expect to crack this high at 34, call it 34.46. And then the next local target would be about 35.84 on your way up to the bigger value area high zone. So that's what I would look at. And then to the downside, your major level is going to be here on the golden pocket. 786 retracement value area low. This is the biggest level. You don't want to lose this value area low. If we come down, I'd be okay with something like this. Once you start losing that 786 value area low, it's going to be much more bearish. So there you go. Shout out to Sky's the Limit. Says it's not even accurate. 1 year. I was 900 days. Only 2 cycles were similar thus far. Yeah, you're never going to be looking for it to repeat completely, right? Like, you're never going to look for it to, history doesn't always repeat, but it oftentimes rhymes, right? And it also depends on, how this plays out, right? Like, if this does wind up, I do think I would never recommend anybody just trade based off the 4-year cycle alone, right? Obviously, I know people who traded the 4-year cycle, which, again, I would never recommend to trade that alone. If the chart is pointing against the 4-year cycle, right? A lot of people ask me here, hey, oh, my God, this was the first time in the bull market that I got messages. Oh, my God, is this the bear market, Frankie? What is going on? I'm really scared. I got text messages from, my normie friends and family, and normie meaning, non-crypto people. I guess we're probably yeah, I guess they're normal. We're not normal. But, people are saying, oh, my God, this is the bear market. A lot of people calling this the bear market. I was not in that camp, right? And the 4-year cycle had something to do with that, right? It's not very common that you see right after the halving that the top comes in on a 5% push above the previous all-time high, and then you get a massive drop into the bear market. That's not common, right? But the other thing there was the charts were not pointing towards that, right? If we had massive bearish divergences here, weekly money flow tanking, about to cross into the red, I would have no choice but to say it looks like we're going into a bear market. But the charts didn't look like that, right? So the 4-year cycle was part of it, but it was just also the charts weren't calling for it either. So, history doesn't always repeat. It oftentimes rhymes. So, I know a lot of people that traded the 4-year cycle here, and they nailed the bottom just based off timing. So obviously there are cycles that have been slightly different. This one was a double top. Essentially, this one was a massive blow off top. This one was a massive blow off top. So this was a little bit different. Still rhymed. So you're never going to be looking. It's never going to be as easy as just following a magical 4-year cycle. But it has been eerily similar, right? I'll pull up the cycle chart here. This is not my opinion. This is just measurements based off of what the measurements have been. From top to top, between these two cycles, 1,479 days. Next cycle, from top to top, 1,425 days. Current cycle, and again, we don't know how this is going to play out. If this comes back up into new all-time highs, that's broken, right? But you're not just making all your decisions based off of this. But from top to top, currently, also based off your Fibonacci time levels, October 20th-ish was the level you would look at, 1,425 days, right? Literally to the day. Now, I don't think it's magic. I don't think it's like a conspiracy. I don't think it's the moon. But it would be very interesting, right? I'm not making decisions just based off that, right? Why did I take profit up here? Well, number one, we have the weekly money flow crossing into the red, or looking to cross over into the red, coming out aggressively. That's typically very bearish. We also had massive weekly bearish divergences. But another reason I was looking to take profit there is just simply because I was in from all the way down here. Not taking profit after a 500% move from your entry is just irresponsible and greedy, right? So, that was my overall plan. We had our major bull market targets up here. We didn't even hit 130K. That was kind of the second major target. Our first target was between 92 and 102K. What happens there? Resistance, bada boom. Cycle still looks good. Charts still look good. Massive confirmations, looking for all-time highs. We get very close to our last target, and then as we were about to lose 108K, we got a little bit of a retracement. I took a bunch of profit up here because that was already very close to my target. I know that these targets are not guaranteed to get hit, contrary to what a lot of people will tell you. Bitcoin is definitely going to this price in 2025. More often than not, it doesn't go there. Hence, everyone looking for 100K last cycle. Ignoring the bearish signs on the chart, ignoring everything else. Just, it has to go to 100K because, I don't know, like the video. But the many reasons, right? It's not just, 4-year cycle's over, I'm selling, right? But I do know people who make decisions off that, and they have done very well. So it's never going to be the same. But, of course, you would want to use confluence across multiple things. And like I said, if we come down here, we see massive money printing, that is something that's actually different. So would I just be saying, 4-year cycle, ignore all the bullish confirmations on the chart, ignore the money printing, it has to go down to 30K because that's what's happened in the past? Absolutely not. Don't fall into that trap. Ain't nothing normal about the stuff we do. Yeah, shout out to Mystic Crew. And yeah, we are just like degenerate lunatics. Crypto's crazy. We'll probably go right into 545. Shout out to Jesse. Yeah, I don't know. I might skip the night stream today, guys. Unless if we get a big move, I'll go live. But if everything is, we'll see what price action does. But we're just chilling. We're exercising free will here. Got the espresso shot in the Starbucks coffee. Look at that. They put oh God, Mrs. Candle's gonna see that. They put a heart on the eye and enjoy. I thought that barista was looking at me weird, man. It's that Frankie Candles hat got her. Shout out to Coin Hoover. Welcome in, brother. Welcome in. What were your thoughts this morning with the pump to the SFP? Were you worried about being stopped out or adding to your position? Shout out to Jax. I was not adding to my position. I also wasn't worried. Somebody asked me recently, what do you do when you're in drawdown? And I had a very simple answer. Nothing. Frankie, why would you not do nothing if you're losing a trade? Well, because I have a plan, right? And who asked that? Jax. So you have a plan, right? For me personally, I had my stop loss. I'll just pull up the entry here. which was right hither. Right. Well, that was my original trade, but I had moved my stop loss to break even, right? So my stop loss was sitting at break even there. Do you have to move your stop loss to break even? Not necessarily, right? You could have just kept the stop loss running, small loss, right? So controlled loss. But I had my stop loss at break even, right? We got the drop. I said, I'm moving my stop loss to break even. I let the Discord know last night. And we get the big pump up. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Number one, right? If I got stopped out, I got stopped out, right? Part of the plan, right? Easy. But number two, right? If I were, would I have been willing to enter here if, if I wanted to? Maybe. And the reason for that is because, again, why am I holding this comfortably with my stop loss at break even? Well, the trend was likely to continue to the downside, giving you a high, a low, a lower high, and lower low. How do I know that? Money flow comes to not crossing into the red, but trending out very clearly. Even if this doesn't cross red and give us a bigger continuation to the downside, which would be the higher probability based off the 1 hour money flow, even if it doesn't, this money flow coming out was still able to indicate that you were going to put in a lower high and a lower low. Where's that lower high likely to come in at? Between the golden pocket 786, right? So even if you were in a little bit lower, right? Let's say I got in, let's just say I got in like a retracement here. Maybe I would have put my stop loss just above that 786 because maybe we're going to retrace up there. If we do, I want to protect myself a little bit. But at the end of the day, right, in another reality, maybe I got stopped out at break even. It did miss me by a couple of dollars there. So if I got stopped out, we would just be sitting here talking about something different. I'd be like, man, I got stopped out right at break even, right before the bigger dump, guys. So frustrating. But would I see that as a bad trade? No. I stick to my plan, right? What would I do if I was in drawdown? Nothing. If it hits my stop loss, it hits my stop loss. If it comes within $1 of my stop loss and plays out, well, that's great. If I get stopped out, I lose the trade. It's no big deal, right? You can't avoid the losses. And if I wasn't in a position, right, maybe I would be looking for this golden pocket retracement, like I mentioned earlier in the stream, from the high to the low. I'm looking for the lower high to come in right here. If I was not in a trade, this would be the place I would look to enter. Could it have shot up and ripped up? Sure. But money flow wasn't pointing towards that. The technicals weren't pointing towards that. Sometimes the technicals are wrong, and it's just going to flush you out on a perfect setup. Once in a while, that'll happen. But overall anticipation there was a continuation of the downtrend based off money flow. So, I did just barely get missed getting stopped out there. Let's see. Cardano, shout out to Dot. We could take a quick look at Cardano. We did pull up some levels on Cardano yesterday. Did we tap them? Let's see. What time is this? Now, we tapped this during the live stream yesterday. Came up for one more last little push. Just to print a bearish divergence. But same thing here, right? 90-minute money flow is trending out. Daily red dot is potentially incoming. So, it's not impossible to see a little bit of a bigger continuation down here. Key level to hold would be obviously the POC. I'll leave this on. But the POC would be a generally big level to hold. Maybe we hold the aggressive higher lows, but 1 hour money flow looking to come out as well. 16-hour red dot is printing. There's your market cipher B116 setup. That would make me anticipate a potential continuation of the downtrend based off, not a continuation of the downtrend as in this, but a continuation of the local downtrend on the 1 hour. A red dot on the 16-hour does not indicate a massive trend down. What's your money flow doing on the 16-hour? It's actually coming up, right? But on a 1 hour, if that money flow crosses red, you would anticipate a continuation of the downtrend based off the 1 hour, right? But this little push could just be for a higher low and a higher high when you look at the 16-hour. Maybe it's a little ebb or flow for a higher low and a higher high. That's my base case right now. Until we see all this money flow tank back out into the red, 16-hour, even the daily money flow, just like every other altcoin, is attempting to come up. We got to get through this red dot on the daily. So we'll see. Who knows? Maybe we'll just scam up. But, just reading the charts here. The higher probability based off the charts. Shout out to India Martini. Said, Frankie, check out the daily chart on the SPY gearing up for a nice sell-off, or TradFi money flow is about to flip red. Let's check it, right? Because obviously that would affect it is crazy, right? I get a lot of questions about, how is the stock market trading at all-time highs and Bitcoin not? Well, we've covered it in the past, pulling up the SPY over Bitcoin. I'm not going to do it right now. I'm just going to kind of draw it out for you. There has been times like back in 2021 where Bitcoin tops out first and then the stock market just kind of continues to push into all-time highs. Bitcoin gets the first drop and then eventually the stock market drops, dragging Bitcoin down with it. Hopefully, it could be a situation that we see play out, but let's just take a look at this from a binary information perspective. Very simple analysis here. Daily money flow trending to the downside, right? On increasing price action. And your momentum also coming down as well. This is a divergence on money flow and momentum. Once that money flow crosses into the red, and we get a drop, if we get a drop down, right, at that point, you can expect some kind of a continuation of a downtrend. Let's check the weekly. Weekly bearish divergences. I mean, look, this is just, it looks a lot different than Bitcoin just because of the nature of how this SPY moves. But you do have bearish divergences forming here on the weekly. We'll see what happens. You're not quite printing the red dot just yet. Your VWAP actually looks kind of strong here. That can change very quickly. Let's take a look at the monthly. Monthly bearish divergence also looking to print here. Got about 24 days for that to confirm. You got your higher highs. Price is going up. Momentum is going down. That is a bearish divergence. Very similar to what we saw on Bitcoin before the big drop. Right? And on anything, anytime you see this. Higher highs, lower highs, typically a bearish indication. And listen, even if this is not going to go for a bigger continuation down, just to be clear, the weekly bearish divergences, even if it's not going to drag you into a deeper bear, they play out, right? Like these are high probability signals, right? It wound up giving you a 36% drop to the downside, right? So even if this isn't going to be the same signal we saw back here that was indicating a big capitulation, which definitely looks very similar here, even if it doesn't play out and we just wind up scamming into new all-time highs, like these bearish divergences are still give you massive moves on the higher time frames. Right? Maybe this week the money flow scams up. Again, not my base case, but anything can happen. But these bearish divergences are still very likely to give you moves, right? So you don't need the massive continuation, right? Like even if this played out to like here, right? Like you still get the weekly bear divs to play out. Like this weekly bear div has played out. Now we're just seeing, and like oftentimes these are top signals, right? Not top forever, right? But just like generally big reversal signals, higher highs, like even on these lower time frames, momentum is coming out, price action is going up. That is the literal divergence, the discrepancy. They give you these plays, right? Like this is played out absolutely beautifully, even if it scams up here, right? Still beautiful bearish divergence, still plenty of room to capitalize on those short positions. Of course, I want to be very clear. Any of these bounces would be looked at as retracements until proven otherwise. Once we break the 786 at 115, we could look for higher prices. But back to the SPY real quick. You got the monthly bear div potentially looking to print. 2-week bearish divergence is confirmed. You got a little bit of a green dot. Money flow doesn't look bad, though. That's the thing, right? Like, the stock market is like the biggest scam ever. Like, this thing is just going to scam up if we get a big dump. And, maybe we do get a massive dump, and then that forces them to print money to just keep the scam going, right? Like, that's very common to see. It's like it's like tradition at this point. So we'll see. Money flow on the 2-week does not look bad. Money flow on the monthly kind of flat. Weekly money flow trending out over time. And then like the daily money flow definitely looks bearish here. So we'll see if we get that crossover. That could indicate that we do get a little trend to the downside. I wouldn't be surprised if you do see that would be accompanied by some kind of news, some kind of big capitulation. Market goes absolutely dumping. I'm not saying you have to come down here, but let's just say it goes absolutely dumping, right? Then they're going to be like, oh my God, we got to print money, got to save the economy. Boom. And then you just get another scam to the upside, right? Think 2020. Where's 2020? Right? Oh my God, the biggest scam ever. It's just up and to the right forever. Right? It all looks super bullish, right? Some people look at the chart right now and be like, how could you ever be bearish on that? I mean, I would long-term bullish on the SPY forever, the stock market in general forever. But like, what do you have here? Right? Well, you got your daily bearish divergences, right? I'm not going to try to call every confirmation, but then you get the big dump down. Oh my God, everything's going to zero. We got to save the economy, print the money, and absolute scam back to the upside. Mega bull run, baby. The American way. Bull runs only with temporary blips. So, I don't know. Maybe we see something like that. Of course, anything can happen, but we'll see. Yeah, and you do have mixed signals here as well, right? Like your daily money flow is coming out. You have the 2-week bearish divergence. You have the monthly bearish divergence. But this 2-week money flow, he's almost about to make a new high. So, but we'll see. Maybe that's the highest money flow goes, and then it rolls over. We'll see what happens. Take a look at the 2-day. 2-day money flow also generally trending out. I mean, these are divergences, just generally. 3-day looking still strong here, right? But there's no saying that can't be the top of the momentum wave or the top of the money flow wave. You still have the divergences technically. Yeah, you do still have the divergences technically printing there. All right. It's 4-day bearish divergence. Money flow kind of flat. 5-day money flow coming out a little bit. 5-day bear div potentially looking to print. So we'll see. You know, you could still continue to squeeze up a little bit. But eventually you'll see some kind of correction. Also, daily bearish divergence on BTC. Can I take another trade if it goes up? Shout out to Quiet. I don't know exactly what you mean there. I don't see a bearish divergence here on the daily. And I don't know, are you looking for a short or long? I'm not 100% sure exactly what you mean. Oh my God, money flow is perfect. Yeah, it is pretty wild. And you can see why, you know, this, and I don't want to say it's perfect, right? Like, obviously in times like this, it's very sketchy. But overall, right, massive green wave. Maybe it's time, like on these crossovers into the green, even with the new all-time high, we shorted 126K, right? Because this was just looking really sus. Massive green wave. You start to get towards the end of the timing of the cycle. Again, not looking at that alone, but you're printing the weekly bear divs. And then this chops around, but eventually you do go into the red. And again, to clean up the chop here, you can always look at the higher time frames because the higher time frames are going to chop around a lot less. This 3-day was generally trending out, right? Like you could look for divergences on money flow as well, right? So it's like you have higher highs, you have lower highs on your money flow, and then also you have bearish divergences on your momentum waves as well, right? Like you just don't want to see, like, if money is leaving and price is going up, that doesn't make sense. That is the head-scratching moment where you're like, hey, this might be a reversal. And whether it's a reversal into a massive bear market like it has been in the past, or if this was just the full play out. Again, my base case is this is a retracement for a continuation down. I hate to repeat that, but I have to be clear. But even if it isn't, right, that's a beautiful weekly bearish divergence play out right there, 36%. 1 hour's curving up. I don't know if you're talking about the SPY or Bitcoin. Yeah, so what would this mean? Somebody put it in the chat, right? Green dot. Would this mean new all-time high? Or new high? I don't say all-time high. What would this mean, right? Is this green dot bullish? But what does that mean overall based off money flow? Remember, money flow equals trend. Green and red dots equal ebbs and flows. Baru says, as I say, if it does not sell off, it is overvalued. Yes. On Bitcoin. Yeah. So you got a green dot incoming there, but look at your money flow. So again, right, this is like very hard as a trader on YouTube, right? Green dot, bullish. Bullish is relative, right? People will be like, oh my God, Cardano's ripping, right? Yes, relatively, you would say, oh my God, monster move, right? XRP, it's ripping. Absolutely, right? But when you're looking at it in the context of the higher time frames, right? Go to the weekly. Is it absolutely ripping? Right? It's only ripping through the lower time frames, right? So it's not to say that can't turn into a bigger rip, right? But money flow is typically the thing that would indicate that, right? And what would you want to see for a massive move up to new all-time highs? You would want to see a big red wave about to cross into the green. We don't have that right now, right? Especially not on Bitcoin. Can it fake out? Sure, right? But that's unpredictable, right? You only have to go with the higher probability. Charts only show you the higher probability. Nothing is ever going to give you 100% certainty. No indicator, no strategy is ever going to give you 100% stress-free, risk-free trade. The only way to get into a risk-free, stress-free, guaranteed winning trade is to take profit and move your stop loss. The only thing that can do that is you. No indicator, no signal, no nothing. You have to do it yourself. You have to build the discipline and follow the plan. It's very hard for most people to do. I know a lot of people who are really good technical analysts that are bad traders, right? You could be the best person at finding the levels, finding the setups. If you don't stick to your plan, you get emotional in your trade, you move your stop loss, you don't take profit, you're not going to make money at the end of the day. If you're not a good loser, right? One of the best things I ever heard somebody say, I forgot who it was, someone on Instagram posted this, and it was like, to be a good trader, you have to be a good loser. The best traders are the best losers, right? You can't just like get all emotional and egotistical, like, oh, I'm losing the trade. I got to move my stop loss up because I don't want to be wrong. I want to eventually have that go down so I can say I was right. But eventually, the market doesn't care what you think. The market doesn't care about your opinion, your ego, nothing. The market will just, more often than times, just continue to punish you and punish you. And that's obviously not what you want to do. Yeah, shout out to Baru says, you see on CNBC, retail is all over Bitcoin. You know they are lack of buyers. I don't know, man, but shorts are printing for sure. Yeah, shout out to Baru. And anytime I see Bitcoin on the news, I'm always just happy that I'm in from way earlier. I've never seen Bitcoin on the news and thought, oh, I should buy some right now. Shout out to Big Huggies. Said just over a year in, and I finally learned that the stove is hot. Still throw my arm in the oven every once in a while. Shout out to Big Huggies. I am. Stay tuned. I'm probably gonna drop a pre-recorded video at some point soon. No charts, no strategies. I'm actually just gonna share the secret to making money trading. Make sure you watch that video twice when it comes out. It's very important. It's very important. I think it's going to relate to a lot of you guys that are already like deep into your journey, right? Into your trading journey. Maybe you've been trading for a year. Maybe you've been trading for 6 months. And you're just like, nothing is really, like you understand the TA, you understand the strategies, but you just cannot transform that into money. I think this video is going to really kind of like break through to a lot of people. And I don't have a lot of videos on the channel talking about that kind of stuff. So I think it'll be what a lot of people need to hear. And even if it's not what they want to hear, I think it's what they're going to need to hear. And it's going to make you more money than any strategy video. If you want a strategy video, how to make X amount of money, we have them all on the channel. You can watch them here. But I'm going to release a video, and I'm probably going to make the title the secret to trading, right? Or the shortcut to making money trading. I'm going to make it like this is the secret. I think a lot of you guys know what I'm going to talk about in there. I'm going to talk a lot about my trading journey and a lot of the lessons that I learned and the things that I wish I had the things I wish somebody told me when I was starting out trading. Would have saved me a lot of time and money. 1 year break even phase here. Shout out to Mr. Jinx, bro. Huge accomplishment. A lot of people don't want to say that. Going from losing money to taking controlled losses to going to break even is a huge move forward. Gigantic. But a lot of people just see that like, I'm not making money. I'm not getting rich overnight. This is a scam. And they give up. And then they never achieve the dream of being a profitable trader and being able to make money from wherever in the world, not having a boss, not needing customers, inventory, and having this infinitely scalable skill, right? They give up too soon. Break even is an absolute gigantic step forward, especially if you're consistently break even. You're doing something right. You're moving forward. I remember when I became like a break even trader, it feels horrible. But I really did feel the progress because it was like, wow, like it took a lot longer than I expected, but I went from absolutely getting wrecked to now not losing anything really. I'm kind of not making money. I'm not losing money. I'm kind of just sitting still. That's a huge step forward, right? If you're drowning underwater and then you finally get to the surface and you're able to breathe, that's a huge step forward. Maybe you're not flying, right? But you're able to breathe and you're sitting there floating in the water. That's good. You know the next step after that. Hello? That's the next step. You got to stick through it. Shout out to Mr. Jinx. Said I never blew up an account, but I did lose enough of my capital. Shout out to Mr. Jinx. It wasn't even the loss of money for me. It was really the boredom of just doing the same thing and getting the same result. I literally just got bored. I was just like, I'm just so sick of the same result. I don't even care if I break even, lose more money, or make money. Like, I just need something different. And that's what actually caused me to force me to change what I was doing instead of just hitting my head against the wall trying to find a buy and sell indicator. Tau, yeah, we could take a quick look at Tau. Hype, yeah, we could try to take a look at hype. Treat the market with respect, and the market will respect you. Yeah, the second you get cocky is when the market will typically correct you. It's kind of just be like, smack you in the mouth, be like, who do you think you are? Don't forget who the boss is here. All right, let's see. Pull it up. All right, so haven't looked at Tau in a while, right? But obviously we were. Oh no, it's been a bit. So just pull this. We on log here. Yeah. All right, so we're holding the golden pocket. Clear next key level of resistance. If we lose this golden pocket, right down here, 178.09. I'm not saying you got to go down there right now, but that's your next key level. It's a 786. Lose the golden pocket. Next place for price to likely go is going to be that 786. Right now, we're getting a nice bounce here, though. Let's see. You got little 16-hour bear divs on some of the higher hourly time frames, 12-hour bull div, sorry. There's your lower lows. There's your higher lows. Money flow coming up, right? So, again, like the base case here is hopefully we can get the continuation of the trend, right, and the retracement up. I'm not saying it has to be a mega crazy bull market, but that's the hope, and especially if dominance keeps going down, hopefully we could see some of these higher targets hit. So I'm going to give you, like, the next big levels. Number one, value area low, always going to be the biggest level to look at, and actually – let me just see how this changes if I pull. Okay, it doesn't really change it, so I'll just keep this here. Value area low moved down slightly. Boom. So this would be the next major targets to the upside. Golden pocket value area low. As always, the value area low is going to be a major, major level. This sits between 312 and 329, or 312.40 and 329.30. Now, money flow comes up, right? Money flow is trending up on the 12-hour, crossing into the green. 16 hours crossing into the green. Daily is looking like it's lagging a little bit behind, to be honest. This is not very close to the zero line. You got your VWAP coming down. And one thing I do want to look at here is I am going to look at this local Fibonacci retracement. All right, so yeah, you're kind of tapping into resistance right now because here I'll walk you through this. If this red dot prints, maybe today, tomorrow, or the next day, if this winds up being the level you reject, this daily looks like it might want to print a bull div, right? And with this money flow, it's really hard. It's kind of a difficult situation because that 12 and 16 hours already crossing green. So I'll just say this. I mean, you're tapping resistance right now. Major target to the upside, again, going to be the value area low, 312.40, 329.30. Get above there. Obviously, that opens the door to the POC, 786 retracement between 347.09 and 360.28. If you get rigid, because this is technically an area you could put in a lower high. The money flow coming up on the 16 and 12 hour makes me think that's lower probability. So I would still be looking for hopefully higher lows and higher highs into these bigger retracement levels. But if you were to get some kind of shocking drop to the downside, whether you come up here first or not, you hit that 786, you might be able to print some kind of a nasty bullish divergence on the daily. Far away to call that. And to be honest, if we do get that, I probably won't even remember we said it. But, this is your big level of support. 176. Call it 176. Yeah, 177. 786. Lose the golden pocket. Very high probability target here at the 786. If you come up, this is your next major target. And just don't forget, I'll even give you some local levels here. And let me separate some of this stuff. Just going to grab all of this, put it in a folder, and hide it so I could just show you the local levels for anybody looking for it. All right, price never rejects for no reason. All right, what are we rejecting here? POC. All right, so locally, I would say, here's your range. Resistance, get back in, POC opens up, perfect rejection off the POC, perfect support on the value area low. You can just see how well these volume profiles work. If you do not know volume profiles, guys, check the tutorials on the channel in the beginner series. Watch through them all. But if anything, watch the volume profile tutorials. You'll be able to find these levels very simply. But value area low locally sits at 277.07. POC, which we're currently rejecting from, 298.04. Value area high at 308.70. This value area high is getting very close to the value area low of the macro range. So you are coming into resistance here. But the bigger level, I would say, is up here. But if you want to look for like the local scalp levels, take a look at that 1 hour. 1 hour money flow. Trending out, not as aggressively as other things, though, if I'm being honest. VWAP coming up. Daily, also the daily red dot's a little bit further away from printing, right? This is much closer on Bitcoin. Right? Daily red dot is a little bit further along here. But those would be local levels. And then the macro levels. If we get a big retracement on the altcoins, we see, similar moves. It's just simple volume profile stuff, right? There's a massive deviation below the low. You don't really have any crazy bullish divergences on the higher time frames. You got little local 16-hour bull divs down here. But, if you see that big retracement come in, I'd be watching here 312, now 313, all the way up to the 786 at 358. I'd be very careful around these levels if you can get up there. If not, correct. You want to hold on top of that golden pocket. If you lose that, I'm looking down here. So that's what I'd be looking at on Tau. Shout out to Simone. Thank you for the super chat, brother. Says it's going to be another red Thursday. Hey, if we don't have to break this high, sorry. If we don't have to break this high, I would not hate another red Thursday. If the short continues to play out. Are we going to get the bigger push up to 97 to 90, 95 to 98K, or are we just going to come down from here? Well, I would prefer to come down from here because we're already in the short, but if not, we'll just look for that short up at the bigger level first. But shout out to you, brother. And, shout out to Golden Bro gifting another 50 Frankie Candles memberships. I'm about 2.5 days late to that. But shout out to Golden with another 150 memberships. Guys, these memberships are not cheap. I don't know exactly how much they are, but they are not cheap. Golden making it rain here in our early live stream. I absolutely love it. Shout out to Golden, bro. I don't know what to say to you, man. I am forever indebted to you. I don't know what to say for more reasons than what you do here on the live stream, bro. Blessed, bro. Blessed to have you in the Mafia. Unbelievable. Drop that golden emoji in the chat. Let's see. Are naked points of controls on the daily, weekly relevant on the lower time frames, or should we mark them out again on the lower time frames if you trade on the 15-minute? No, shout out to Moy. Hopefully I said that right. Daily and weekly MPOCs are only on the weekly, right? Like you can't find. Now, if you have, for example, a daily MPOC here, right, at 87,855, I go down to the 1 minute, that MPOC at 87,802, right, is going to be valid, right? But you would not find the daily naked point of control on the 1 minute. If you pull up the PVP, periodic volume profiles, and which if you don't know how to do this to find your MPOCs, if you pull this up and you're marking off your MPOCs like this on the 1 minute, these are not daily bullish, daily MPOCs. These are 1 minute naked points of controls. I don't look at these. I only look at the monthly, weekly, and dailies, right? Go to the monthly time frame. There's your monthly MPOCs. Go to the weekly. These are not the same MPOCs that are on the monthly. These are weekly MPOCs. Go down to the daily, right? I'll just, for example, you have one right here at 88,664. Go down to the daily. These are your daily MPOCs. You don't have one here at 88,864, right? These are different. You have to get I mark daily MPOCs, mark these out. Put them in a folder, hide them. Go to the weekly. These are now weekly MPOCs. Put them in a folder, hide them. These are the monthly MPOCs. Put them in a folder, hide them, right? If you go down to the 5 minute, these are 5 minute MPOCs. I don't know. I don't pay attention to these. I'm not saying you shouldn't, or maybe like that they don't work or anything, but that's not what I would look at. I would look at a daily MPOC on the 5 minute, right? Then I would say, right, because a 5 minute MPOC is not a significant level. A daily MPOC is a significant level, right? So if I'm looking, right, if the price is coming down and there's a daily naked point of control marked off on the daily here, this is a significant level to get a bounce off of, right? And again, if you look to scalp that, right, nice little 1% move. So there you go. All right, let's see here. Golden is golden. Absolutely. Golden the GOAT, bro. Unbelievable. Tony D dropping the link to the beginner series, guys. Go check out that beginner series if you've not watched it. Can we take a look at hype? Yeah, I'll take a quick look at hype. Shout out to Benny Blanco from the Bronx. Shout out to you, brother. Says, hi, you're streaming early. We are live. We're live early from the Candle Cave. All right, let's take a quick look at hype. Again, like a lot of the overall expectation for the altcoins, guys, are all going to be the same as far as market cipher goes. All right, let's pull it up over here. Whoops. Come on. I know we have a hype chart somewhere. Not the KuCoin chart. Oh, it's the Bybit chart. There we go. All right. Look at that, guys. Exactly what we wanted to see play out. The dump, the double squiggle, back, left, right, V shape, less than sign, greater than sign, send it down. It's exactly what we looked for there. I never know what these lines are. All right, let's take this off the chart here. Super old. That was probably the last time we looked at this, potentially. All right, so this is old, 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 old. Can extend this. I don't like that. I'm going to keep it right here. I'm going to try not to mark out this whole chart just because some of those levels aren't even going to be relevant, and I'm going to save time here. Okay, so yeah, that would be generally the volume profile I would look at. So let me actually just drop that in a folder real quick. Let me also... Yeah, just a little bit of a larger profile. Boom, boom, boom. Mark off this one. That's what we're playing with right now. Value area low, POC, value area high. All right, let me just pull our big old fib here. Just pull it from the last significant lower high. Yeah, so there's going to be a few different fibs that you could pull here. I like this one because it is confluent with the value area low and the POC. And then one more thing I do want to mark off is going to be your super high time frame MPOCs. And look at that, you have a monthly MPOC in that zone as well. Bouncing off a monthly MPOC. Not this one. This one is printing, but you did have another one right here that you're holding. So I'm going to put this here. Again, not marking off the current one because that could change. But you can see you did have one right here. And I'm just going to label this tapped. Monthly MPOC. And then I'm just going to go in here, label it tapped because we know that's what we're bouncing off of. Pull up the weekly. You got a weekly MPOC in here, so I'm just going to label this monthly or weekly plus monthly. And then you got another weekly MPOC up here. And that one's printing, and you got one right here as well. All right. All right, so take these off the chart. All right, so now we got some levels here. Bouncing off the bouncing off the MPOC here on the monthly. Your next weekly MPOC sits at about $31. Which is not confluent with any of the value area levels, which is okay. Just would have been nice to see that. We could pull a local fib from this local lower high. Right, so again, not the biggest level in the world as far as the Fibonacci retracement goes, but it is a weekly MPOC. So this would be like the next target, right? If we do continue up, between about 20, almost $30 all the way up to about 32,500, you have a decent bit of confluence in there. You are also tapping resistance right now, very likely this golden pocket. So if you could break above 28.32, this would be the next zone to look at. So I'll even just mark this off locally, because this is also, if we could get, you have this lower profile. If you can't break above this 786 and you wind up getting the rejection back into this profile, I would look for a rotation down to the value area low at 2107. If you could crack that 786, I would look for a push up in here, 30 to 3250. That's local, right? Those are your local levels, right? If you're just looking for the high time frame stuff, I would pay more attention to the larger volume profile, which would be sitting right here, right? I don't know if you're going to wind up, say this is probably the biggest level. 30 to 32-ish 500. From the lower high to the low, this would be a pretty place to put in a lower high. If you crack this with your daily money flow coming up, two big levels to crack. If this money flow crosses green, two big levels to get above. Number one, 786. Number two, more important, value area low of the previous range. So biggest levels to have on your chart, call it $30 up to 33. Get above that, you're looking at 35.72. Get above that, huge level here at 38.75. These are the biggest levels to look at. At the end of the day, right, really what you want for big moves is to get back into this profile, flip the POC, go back up to the high. I'm not necessarily anticipating that right now. Daily green dot or daily money flow crossover can create a bigger retracement, but I just don't see I would be very careful around that big point of control in the high 30s to low 40s. Huge resistance up here. But, we have to get above all this first. So, I don't want to cover every single level there, but you got your weekly green dot that could assist the move up. So those would be the big targets I'd be looking at on the way up. This weekly green dot continues to push you. This is a big zone. Get above that. You can start playing around with the POC and the value area low. I don't really have a ton of money flow here. I don't have anything on a weekly. I don't have anything on the 6-day. 5-day doesn't look terrible. 4-day coming out. 3-day in the red. So, yeah. It's same thing as like Ethereum and Bitcoin, right? Like higher time frame money flow still does look like you could potentially put in lower highs and lower lows. So I'd be careful of that. So we'll see. So it's almost conclusive that this is a dead cat bounce. I mean, conclusive would be kind of hard, right? Like, I never want to sit up here and tell you that the charts are guaranteed to play out, right? Like, there's always a chance, and I always bring up Bitcoin in this situation, right? Like, there's always a chance that the charts are wrong, right? Like, this happens from time to time. Back in 2021, we had the exact same signals. Money flow coming out on the weekly, massive bearish divergences. The crowd is super hopeful. Everyone's looking for higher highs. Big capitulation, right? Almost all the exact technical confirmations. Sentiment is very similar. If you want to include the timing of the cycle there, that lines up as well. You don't have to use that, but it does line up, which is interesting. Does that mean that when back in 2021, when we were looking down here with the weekly blood diamond to indicate with the money flow coming out that we were very likely to enter the bear market like every other cycle indicated by all this stuff, we knew it was the higher probability. At the end of the day, guys, this could have been wrong, right? We could have come up to new all-time highs. Higher probability does not mean guaranteed, right? So when I talk about my bias, it's always based off the charts. And the charts here are very, very similar, right? It's basically the same song and dance. Same signals. Pretty much everything is the same. So with that being said, is it impossible to launch into new all-time highs? No, right? But with the money flow, with the bearish divergences, all the high time frame confirmations, I am being very careful of the lower high and the lower low. If Bitcoin does that, the altcoins are very likely to follow. Doesn't mean you can't have exciting retracements on the way up, which is obviously what we've been looking for. Again, daily money flow looking to cross into or crossing into the green here. That's a good sign for a daily trend to the upside. That does not invalidate the weekly money flow very clearly giving us the fourth, only the fourth and only the fourth weekly money flow crossover that we've ever had on Bitcoin. It's not here yet, right? But it's just this doesn't happen very often. If we see that money flow crossover, like, it would be statistically higher probability to see something like that. I'm not saying you have to go down this much. I'm not saying it has to take this long. I'm just saying some kind of a bigger capitulation would likely be to come in. That could be invalidated if we can get above the 50-week moving average and we can see the signals and the technicals flip around. Then maybe we could call for higher prices. But right now, that just looks like the higher probability. So it's the base case. Cautiously optimistic. If we can get some relief to come in, that would be very nice. And again, what would I be looking for big retracements? I'll take the volume profiles off the chart, and we'll just look at it from a Fibonacci perspective. At the end of the day, you could even get up here, right? This would still be a technical lower high for a lower low. I think this would be a little bit of a crowded trade because everyone would be calling for the head and shoulders. So maybe if we see that happen, maybe you scan back up. But, technically, high, low, lower high, lower low. That's what you'd be looking at with money flow coming out. If money flow was in a big red wave about to cross into the green, I'd say look for a retracement here for a higher low and a higher high, right? But I can't call for that. It's just not here. If it was there, I would call for it. So yeah, I don't want to make it sound like it's guaranteed. Nothing is guaranteed, but it is the statistical higher probability. So there we go. S coins needed to die though. Yeah, maybe. Shout out to NJP. Yeah. More coins they list, more garbage to short. Absolutely. I mean, I'm always in the camp of the God tier 2017, 2021 style alt seasons, right? I'm not saying we can't see those again, but there was a time in the past where you could just buy any crypto, any altcoin, throw a dart at a board, whatever it lands on, you buy, and it just rising tides lifts all ships, and it just everything moons. As the market gets more diluted, this becomes less of the situation, right? Becomes less likely, less similar to that, and more similar to, or not similar, but more of a situation where you have to be like very picky about what you choose. It's like the .com bubble, right? Any company that threw .com in their name was an absolute explosion, right? All the internet companies, all that stuff, and of course there's big players, right? But there's a lot of things, Netscape, all these other companies, a lot of these big companies in the beginning wound up dying, right? Like, so it's kind of similar, right? I'm not saying it has to be exactly the same, but it's a similar idea. So yeah, I would 100% agree with that. Shout out to Crypto Billy. Said, I got my piece in the last couple of days. Hope helps with the blown up HODL bags. Let's go. Shout out to Crypto Billy. Would you catch a short? Did you catch long? Let me know. I am currently schlong. Right now. We got the short from the top, or current top, but in anticipation of the continuation up, we are also still holding the long. Got the short on WEX, the long on FEMEX. Let's go. Shout out to Baru, says, yeah, and don't forget $2021 are not the same as $2025. Those were worth something. Yeah, I wish that wasn't true. But definitely is. All right, let's see here. Shout out to Crypto Crimson in the chat said, does the death cross on Solana mean down only? Shout out to Crimson. I've actually made videos about the death crosses before. Death crosses are, maybe we'll talk about this a little bit more tomorrow, but the death crosses are, it's not a signal that I would trade. Like, a lot of times you'll see a death cross and price rallies after the death cross, right? Like, you get a big move down, you'll see the death cross happen, and then you get a rally, and then sometimes it's a lower high and a lower low. So sometimes the death crosses can mark rallies for, like, like a counter retracement, right? Like a counter trend rally. So let's just say you top out, you come down, right? Oh my God, death cross, and then you get a retracement, and it's just a lower high to continue the overall trend. So, BTC moved. Let's see. She's popping. Let's see. So, yeah, I would be looking at locally, guys. Golden Pocket 786. Again, it's value area low confluence there on the value area. You could pull it to current price action too. This would be like the big places to look for a retracement. I think if you flip this POC, you got a decent chance of breaking out, but technically, like the line in the sand would be the 786 at about 94,000. You break 94,000, flip the value area, like 94, that would be the retracement invalidation. Flip this, hold it as support, get the continuation. Like once you flip this, you're looking to crack this, or once you flip this, you're looking to crack this high, right? So, and in that case, 1 hour money flow, but I'll just make this nice and simple. 1 hour money flow is coming out. Green dot printing, right? We just talked about this. Green dot prints, get a push up, right? But it does not step on, right? Generally will not step on the money flow coming out, right? The anticipation there is retracement, lower high, lower low. Money flow coming out on the 1 hour. 16-hour red dot is printing. Still got 3.5 hours for their 3 hours and 45 minutes left for that to print. And then we also have the daily VWAP coming down, looking to print a red dot with our 90-minute money flow coming out. This could also continue the downtrend. So if we continue the downtrend, this would be the major level I would look at. Maybe we reject sooner, but this would be like the first major level, technically leading up to the line in the sand at 94K. If we break this, I would be expecting a crack of this high, bringing us into our next major level of resistance, which, of course, sits up here between 95.3 and about $98,000. So simply sitting there, right? I'll probably take profit on the short here, so if we do stop out, I'll make money getting stopped out in profit, and then the long will continue to pay me out into that bigger level, which I've been waiting for this to get hit for so long. And then the major key level of support, of course, is going to be sitting down here. Don't forget it. So you pull it to here, right? Golden pocket, you know, I would start here at about, I don't want to give too many levels, right? Keep it nice and simple. The value area low at face value, 89,000. You want to stay above there. If we have to slip it, you have the 786 and the daily MPOC here. But at the end of the day, if we are going to see the 1 hour trend continue down, this is the big level to hold in order to look for the continuation of the overall uptrend, right? So if we don't just get the fake out here on money flow and push up here, this is the higher probability. If we get the move down there, you want to hold on top of that value area low. 89K to the downside, and then if we break up, 95.3 to 98K. Locally, for the retracement, we're looking between about 93, call it 91,370, all the way up to about 94K. So we'll see. Will we be able to get the turnaround here? Will the money flow play out? We'll find out on the next Frankie Candles live stream. But with all that being said, guys, thank you all for tuning in for this random live stream that we just decided to do out of nowhere, exercising our free will. Yo, shout out to Dave Digital. Thank you for the super chat, bro. He said, it's so cute you think you're exercising free will. The truth is 6'7". Is that a 6'7" emoji? 6'7". 6'7" of the Candle Mafia, 6 to 7 of the Candle Mafia gathered this morning and manifested the stream. Shout out to Dave collecting the candles. Maybe, you know, not sacrificing the goats, but, you know, praying to the candle gods with those goats. Stream early. Shout out to Dave Digital. Thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you guys for being here. Somebody said Dogecoin. We actually took a look at Dogecoin. I'm going to take a look at Dogecoin real quick. I know you can't see the screen. I'm going to cover Dogecoin for like 6 seconds. It all remains the same as yesterday's live stream. Getting the bull divs off the low, off the 786. Next major target, if you continue up, is going to be 16 cents. Value area low. Major level of resistance. Maybe you reject some of the local levels. All the money flow remains the same as all the other altcoins, right? Maybe the red dot pulls you back, but you're hoping you could hold the higher lows for the higher highs to eventually flip the value area low for a bigger move up. Until then, value area low at 16 cents is major resistance until proven otherwise. If you get the cool off, look for higher lows, hoping this money flow stays in the green or stays trending to the upside. It doesn't really look that good right now, if I'm being honest. But we'll see. It's generally trending up. But other than that, 16 cents to the upside, currently hitting local resistance, but big level to the upside, 16 cents. And then if you lose this 786, I'm looking down towards 9.5 cents. So we'll check back in on this tomorrow. I don't want to spend too much time on this because I got to hop out of here. But thank you all for tuning in and hanging out with us here on this early stream. Shout out to NJP. Shout out to Kristen. Shout out to Dave Digital. Jesse. Panini Ski. I don't know if I said that right. But thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you all. Shout out to Crypto Billy. Said Darren does things. Bro, I don't know what you guys are talking about. But shout out to Jax. I'll see you guys here. I don't know if I'm going to go live at 5. If Price at 5:45. If Price goes crazy, I'll go live. If not, I'll check in with you guys tomorrow right here. Maybe in another early live stream. It seems like a lot of people like the early live streams. I'm going to try to do that a lot more in 2026. And with all that being said, that's all the time I got for today's live stream. I'll see you guys all tomorrow. Hasta pasta. Bing bong.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on a roll, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming on my landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like, yeah, you about to see me on demand like, you know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on a roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah. On a roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on a roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah, on a roll, here we go.